Hey, Bobby and Joe. It's Brady, Reservoir Reaper Fishing here. And I just wanted to say, shout out to Dave Shade for the May scavenger hunt. He killed it. Crazy. I'm super happy that I got to participate in this month's scavenger hunt. It was a lot of fun. First time I ever did something like this. I actually got to go out and target a certain species and actually, go out looking for something other than bass. I'm mainly a bass fisherman, and you guys, I just wanted to let you know that the tournament was a lot of fun, and I had a great time doing it, and, Dave killed it. Everybody else killed it. We all had a great time, and I'm just so glad you guys put on this tournament for everybody. I just really enjoyed it, So keep up the good work, guys. I appreciate it, and I'm coming for that big bass tournament in June. I'll see you guys then. Later.
Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef here with another episode of Jigs and Bigs. I got Who the Fuck is Joe Brown with us. I got all kinds of good news to tell you guys about. And yes, Brady did kind of spill the beans a little bit earlier. Dave Shade ran away with the May tournament. We'll talk about a little bit about that before. I'm going to have official results and everything coming up next week for you guys. But, man, it's amazing. June is here. It's been an amazing week. We have an amazing FTG this week from somebody I never thought we were going to hear from in terms of an FTG. But yet, here we are. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss out on this. We have a real light show this week, guys. Just kind of a review. We'll look back at the week, what's going on, some updates as to some tournament stuff that you guys want to know about regarding the Jigs and Bigs series, both the scavenger hunt and the slot limit series that we're running. That's kicking off on the 29th of June. You're going to want to be involved with that for sure. One other thing that we do need to talk about is that we've got the one and only Nick Deschaine in the beef seat this week, guys. I had a great conversation with our good friend from the north, from the Dark Horse Tackle Pro staff. Man, I'll tell you what it was like. We'll talk about this in a bit, guys. We have so much good show coming up for you. You don't want to miss out. We will see you guys in a bit. Go ahead, get yourself something delicious to enjoy, and we will be back with more Jigs and Bigs in just a few moments. Trust me, it's going to be good. I love it. I love it. Here we are. We got Jig Heads in the house. We got Tim Behan jumping in saying, hey, guys. We got Chrissy Fishing in the house. She says, good evening, gentlemen. I don't know about using that terminology, gentlemen. It's almost as bad as that Sunny Market using the unforgettable subs, unforgettable grinders, as it would be. John Hagens is in the house, and he's on the calendar. John Hagens. I am stoked. We're going to have a good interview. He's like my catfish guy right now. Like, if I got a catfish guy, now, I don't mean a guy that's catfishing me. I'm talking about he is my guy when I'm like, what the fuck is up with this species? He's got the know-how, and I appreciate that. Chrissy Fishing confirming, yes, a Berkshire Send is happening. That's going to be a good one. Dan Griffin is with us. I got fireworks all over the background. What is happening here? Oh, Dan Griffin's in the house. And then we got Vidal chiming in, too. How we doing, Vidal? Joe, how are you? How's things?
I'm good, man.
Yeah?
Great week. Great week. Just kind of taking it easy, enjoying the weather. What else could we ask for up here in New England? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this weekend's weather was great. Not fantastic for the fish. But
yeah.
It was great for some parties. I had an amazing party. I'll talk about when I do my week review that I did this last week. It's kind of a little bit of a work thing because I had to put my wedding officiant hat on. And all this week I've been saying the fucking craziest shit. I'm like, guys, I'm so stoked this weekend. I'm marrying my cousin. And I was officiating her wedding, which it just came out wrong at trivia multiple times. It legitimately came out wrong the first time I said it, and then I was just like, no, I'm leaning in. Leaning in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Oh, Vidal, yes, the heat's your meat. I got that for you, buddy. I got that for you. We'll get you all set. Jay Manning's in here, too. Jay Manning, what's up, baby? How are you doing?
Look at him.
It's been a week. It's been an emotional roller coaster for me, primarily. Yeah, it's been something. I got out a lot this week, but it was a lot of fruitless sends. So let's just we'll go ahead. We'll dive right in, and I'll get to the meat of it all. Monday for me was another production day. It was just getting things ready. Of course, it was Memorial Day, and I'll tell you what. For a short week, it felt like the longest week ever. It really did. And numerous people this week had said the same thing to me. Now, this week was kind of a special one because it kicked off. Now I'm not writing any more additional trivia stuff for I kind of made my workload a bit easier, and man, it paid off so well. Like the events that I worked this week were just so good and fun, and everybody had a great time. There was no bullshit. It was great.
It's good.
So I was stoked about that. Monday was really kind of just like hang out around the house, you know. I got some yard work done on Monday, and then I went out on Tuesday. Right. So Tuesday, you know, this is the last week of May for the scavenger hunt for May. And I'm struggling here, man. I had 9 species. A couple of them that I knew that I needed to track down were a variety of trout, brookies, browns, and tigers. A bowfin, bullhead, channel catfish, that would work. White perch, that would work too. A handful of different species, and I was like, okay, so I had some pretty good intel about bowfin in a body of water that I'm super comfortable in. And I was like, I'm just going to go and I'm going to send it. And it was like every day. So Monday we had a cold front come through that night. So Tuesday I knew it wasn't going to be fantastic, but of course I get out there and it's bluebird skies with like minimal wind. And I'm like, all right, fine, okay. So I know they're back here. I know that they're back here. You know what I mean? I'm in this one spot. I'm in my kayak, and I've got, you know, this is that weird time of year where I start getting really anxious about school ending for my kids. Because then that means I can leave the house and fish first thing in the morning, and it gives me more time. I don't have to like cut it short to go and do pickup or coordinate stuff with, you know, somebody handling pickup or drop off or something to facilitate my fishing outings. Because let's be honest, that takes a priority. You know,
of course.
Yeah, it should. That's how it should. So I'm out there and I'm grinding away at it, and it was tough. Like I said, I also needed brown trout, and I know that there's browns in this body of water as well. So I was out. You know, when I've been rigging my kayak, I basically rig it to the teeth. Like it is. I have every single combo available at my disposal if I needed to change the presentation in one direction or another. I don't have every single piece of gear, period, but I have every single combo and a couple other reels that I can swap out to get the job done. Dude, I picked apart with jigs and with Senkos, and I was like, maybe I can get them on top water, you know, maybe. So I was throwing around something real subtle because I knew that it was going to be tough. I was throwing around like a buzz toad, you know, but one of the goats from Z-Man. So I'm ripping that around. I'm not getting a damn thing. I did on Monday. Yeah, I did hook up with like a small nibbler bass on a Senko, on a black and blue Senko. And I was like, all right, cool. One fish is a fish. Let's see if we can find out if this is a pattern.
It was not a pattern.
That was the fish. So I would basically fish for like 2.5 hours in this small area, again, where I had intel where I'm like, there are bowfin back here right now. They're back here. It's just a matter of getting them to bite. And there was a big fry ball, and I couldn't tell by the fry if they were bowfin or not. And if they were, I don't know why the guard wasn't just annihilating the bait I was throwing out there. So I'm getting kind of cute with things. I'm changing up my presentation. I'm downsizing a bit. I went from throwing like a big half-ounce black and blue jig with like a big black and blue beef craw on it, to throwing like an EWG Ned with like a black and blue pit boss, and then changing up the color. Maybe that might be the thing. Let's do a color swap, and maybe we can get bit there. Nothing. I got one largemouth that first day, and then about the last hour, I was just like, I'm just gonna grab my BFS combo and just start covering water and try and get a brown.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I think I caught every single fucking sunfish in that lake all 3 days. Because I went out Tuesday, I went out Wednesday, and I went out Thursday. And Wednesday night, we got another cold front, which fucked up Thursday.
We did. Yeah.
Big time. I was like, you got to be shitting me. I don't know what the fuck is even happening.
The weather's been wild, dude. It's definitely not helping any patterns of the fish by any means. But I mean, they've been so fucking confused since the get-go this year.
Yeah, really, since Ice Out, it's just been like a game of craps, It's like roll the dice.
Exactly.
And it's just absolutely bananas, man. So I was like, look, I've come to terms with the fact that this is going to be a 9-point month for me. May, I'm going out 9 points. I had a bunch of running around and shit to do on Friday. This sucks. So I had to go in for an oil change. It was time, right? Bring my truck in. Everything's cool. Earlier this week, my brakes started squealing a little bit.
Oh, no.
I got like 67,000 miles on this truck now. You know what I mean? It's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
You never done the brakes?
I haven't done the brakes.
Okay, so that's actually pretty good.
That's really good. That's actually, my mechanic was just like, normally it's like 50, 52K. We're seeing brakes coming in.
Yeah.
And he's like, you feather the shit out of your brakes, don't you? I was like, oh, hell yeah, I feather the shit out of them. I'm like, I am one of those, I'm a drummer. It's like it's a kick drum pedal. I'm just like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, and he's like, you got some life out of these suckers. So I said, we're going to do the whole thing, and I want to go premium on all the parts. He's like, all right, cool. So that's $1,000. That's just going to go away.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I had to get that done. I knew I wasn't going to get on the water on Friday.
Right.
And I don't know that it would have made a difference. I don't know that I would have cared. I don't know that I emotionally could have handled another day like the last 3 I had. In fact, I had so I had to go for my oil change. I got that all handled. I had to do some other running around, and I made an appointment with Mo, my barber, to get in and clean up this mess and everything, because I had a big event on Saturday, and I figured I should probably not look like a degenerate, transient enemy of the state.
Right.
That might be a good idea. So I go, all right, cool. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, luckily she was able to squeeze me in at like 5 o'clock. I was running around all over the place. It was crazy. And, I'm like, I'm okay with this. We're going to go out on this note, and then we'll start. I had plans to fish today with Delirious, and I was like, I'm just going to go out and fish. I didn't even register for the tournament until like Saturday. I was just like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and register and whatever. And I'm like, I have a marker in my bag. I'm just gonna go. We'll see what happens, And my plan today was to go out and just bass fish. Well, let me back up a little bit. All right. So Saturday, I get up on Saturday morning, and this is a big day because my cousin Nikki, she and her longtime boyfriend John, they were never even like formally engaged. It was just like,
all right.
This is her second marriage. I'm not sure if John's ever been married before. I don't think so. And they bought this really nice house, right?
Yeah.
And they were having a housewarming party, and probably about like 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, maybe, I got a phone call from Nikki, and she's like, hey, are you coming to my fucking housewarming party, you asshole, or what? What's going on? And I was like, did you just send out invitations? She's like, oh, it's on Facebook. And I'm like,
I fucking hate Facebook. Like, it's not real life.
So I went digging through the archives of all the fucking boomer social media, and I came across it, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm an RSVP. She goes, I need you there because I need you to officiate our wedding. And I was like, oh, shit. She's like, yeah, we're going to surprise everybody. Now, beef curtain aside, right?
Yeah.
I 100% expected where I was going to get there that day, and she was going to tell her mom. She was going to have a few drinks with her out, and, doing whatever, and she was going to tell her mom. She did not. We surprised so many people. In fact, John, baller move, right? Everybody's starting to arrive at the party.
Okay.
He goes and says, guys, thanks for coming. This is great. We had a really good year this year. So, we did this with the house and like things are coming together. But the year was actually even better than I thought. So I got this too. And he pulls out a box and he proposes right there.
Interesting.
To throw everybody off. And I'm like, that's fucking genius, man. So he goes and does his thing and everything. And, we're going through the motions. And then the time comes and I'm like, I brought my that little JBL speaker, the battery powered one I've used before for like the live shows and shit.
Yeah, of course.
Like I just brought that so we could have music for like the party and real like sneaky. Like I hooked up a wireless microphone and I made a couple of announcements and then people were just like, what's going on? I was like, why don't everybody come over here? And I started playing some music and they're like, motherfucker. John's mom was like, what's going on? And somebody goes, they're getting married. And she's like,
the fucking hell they are.
It was so good. So many people were surprised. There were more people in on it than I realized that there were.
Okay.
But I think it had to be that way. Like my sister was in on it because she was like, she had a million things going on that day. And I was like, are you going to the housewarming? And she's like, I don't know. I'd love to, but like I've already seen the house. Like it's not a big deal. And I'm like, you're going to want to go. And she's like, why? And I was like, all right, you need to keep this quiet. I'm like, it's a wedding. It's a surprise wedding. She's like, okay, she made it work. So she was there.
Yeah.
We had a blast. It was so much fun. In fact, we forgot, and this is where I think technology is great. I know I'm going to get some heat for this. We forgot to bring chairs. We were running around getting stuff done, and we forgot to bring some chairs. So your boy DoorDash some chairs from Dick's Sporting Goods.
Shut up.
Right to the house. In fact, my cousin Ryan and his, they got to get married soon. Becky, they were the same thing. They forgot their chair, so I was like, "Fuck it, guys! I'm gonna order 4." They came over and they were nice, nice
that's
Quest
awesome.
chairs. I was like, "Oh, that's great!
Yeah.
I got a deal. They were on sale." I was like, "That's awesome."
That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm like, "All right, I'm okay with this." So yeah, the week it was good, and that brings us to today. So
okay.
I get home last night, I'm like, I got to get up early. I'm just going out to fish. I'm just going to have a good time. No agenda. Yeah. Like I'm not picking up. In fact, I specifically picked a body of water that Delirious and I have history with. This is the spot where I hooked my thumb. And then Delirious tried to remove that hook and it did not go well. I'll be touching on that in a moment. So he goes and he says, dude, what do you want to do? There's a spot in Connecticut I kind of wanted to hit, and I was like a spot up here. We ended up fishing both. So we get out on, and we saw an anomaly when we were on the water today. That was kind of crazy. So we launched relatively early, and it was like dead calm. Like I've never seen this water so slick, just like glass. So I'm like, all right, well, see what we can throw for some top water, see what we can do. So I had a popper on, I had that buzz toad, and then I also had a whopper plopper. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna cover some water with that whopper plopper, see what we can come with, what we can come up with. Couldn't come up with shit, nothing. So I'm like, all right, no sweat. We're gonna shift gears now. So I'm like, it's still pretty quiet, but I'm gonna start with the most obnoxious thing I got, and I threw a chatterbait. And again, throwing into where I figured all the fishy spots as we were fishing along this one bank, nothing, not a tap. So I was like, using my brain, I'm like, I could put a swim jig on. I'm not going to. I'm going to go even more subtle. And we're going to talk in gear of the week with what I tied on. But what I ultimately tied on was a 4-inch swim bait on a jig head, a very specific jig head, because I was throwing into some cover. And I'm throwing this around like under the overhanging trees and into submerged timber, and I'm swimming it back, and I hooked up with the biggest bass I caught today at a whopping 12 1/4 inches. Ladies and gentlemen, an absolute
monster.
Just a tank. So I felt good. Skunk was out of the boat. This is great. Everything's cool. I'm like, awesome. I'm like, well, I'm here. I did write my identifier on my hand. before we left. So I was ready. I'm like, I'm going to snap these pics and I'll submit them. Everything's cool. So I'm like, cool. I got a point for today. Awesome. I would just love to catch some bigger fish. That's what I'm looking for. I just want to catch bigs, you know? D is off doing what D does, you know, throwing around baits, crapping in the woods, stuff like that. And I am quite a ways behind him, and he's up further in this patch of shallow weeds. And I don't know what he was throwing around up there. He wasn't having any luck. And today, I don't know, Joe, did you know that this weekend was free fishing weekend in Massachusetts?
I did know that. Yeah.
I kind of expected everybody and their freaking mom to be out fishing today. It wasn't as packed as I saw 3 bank anglers, had a conversation with 2 of them. Saw a couple other folks that were out on boats, but where we were, which gets a ton of pressure, it was pretty quiet except for some wreck boats. And again, we'll get there in a moment. So I find myself in this like shallow area with some weeds and some rocks. I've had actually really good experience catching. What have I caught over there? I've caught smallmouth over there. I caught a couple more stink bass on this paddle tail. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll go over to this one area. We'll see what we got. And then I noticed there's stuff hitting the surface, and I'm not sure what it is. So I'm throwing around this finesse swim bait, okay, and I'm like, maybe I should get a little bit finessier with it. Let's go ahead and do that. So I grab my BFS combo, which has a small, 3/32 ounce of a jig with 2-inch plastic on the back, like a similar paddle tail, like minnow style bait. And I throw that around, and I'm like, I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to put a blade on it just to see if maybe a little bit of flash, a little bit of vibration, light vibration might be enough. Magic. Unlock the cheat code right there. Sunfish, yellow perch, more bass, just way more bites instantly. So I'm like, okay, it looks like this is what we're going to need because of, again, overhead bluebird skies and like minimal wind. Like while we were out this first spot, there was like nothing at all. We fished our way upriver significantly and then kind of came back around, and I said, looking at the time, I go, why don't we go ahead and we'll just call an audible. We'll go to the other spot, but we'll grab lunch in between. So D's like, I love this idea. Let's go ahead and do it. And we saw an anomaly, Joe.
Okay.
We saw on the way back in, there was a dude in like a big crest liner, deep V, like a 16 or a 16 or an 18 foot. And he comes by, and when we were fishing, like we had just launched, and he was going by at a snail's pace. Not to disrupt right now. Once he was well past us, he lit it up and took off. Yeah. Then there was a bass tracker that came out shortly thereafter and gave 0 fucks and just was like, took off. I'm still on the fence what I prefer. Like, if it takes them longer to go by when they're going slow. Yeah. When they go fast, it gets it out of the way. Like, there's still there's some wake you have to deal with anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure. So D and I had that conversation, but the anomaly was this. We make the decision to start heading back. We turn our boats around. We start going back toward the launch. No bullshit. As soon as we're facing that direction, 2 jet skis leave the fucking launch.
Like, you motherfuckers. You sons of bitches.
These were the most polite and considerate jet skiers I've ever fucking seen in my life.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a win.
They came, they were like zipping onto us, and I was like, I had my arms going. I'm like, FTG, like that. And I don't know if I signaled to them or whatever, but they slowed right down and fucking stopped and let us go by them. And then they took off.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that's a fucking unicorn, dude.
It really is. And that's Delirious was like, do you realize what just happened there, right? I was like, yeah, that's very uncommon. That's very, very uncommon behavior.
I mean, we've talked about it a million times on the show. Like, I promote the use of water by everybody. The problem is most people that operate the vessels that we speak of just are not considerate of other people.
Yeah.
And that's why we can't stand them.
Yep. And when you have that, because there's obviously exceptions to every rule.
Sure.
But when you have that sort of, I guess I don't want to say necessarily an anomaly, but that outlier to the typical behavior. Like, you're like, God, if only there were more folks that could just look at that and say, like,
huh. I don't have to disrupt their life for my own benefit.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
They're doing awesome. I was like, that is amazing. So D and I go and we grab a bite over at a local spot. I've actually, if you fished with Bobby Roast Beef and we've been in and around like the Palmer area, you and I have had breakfast or lunch at this spot, and it's great. So we go from there and we hit this other spot. Now, this is a state park in Connecticut, and I've fished there before. I had gone there in like, it must have been like early March. And there wasn't even anybody at the gate. Like, the gates were open, you could drive in, but there was nobody to collect parking or anything like that. So I happened to go over to where this ramp is, and there's a small like platform, like dock that comes out. And I was fishing off of that. Now, this is where I caught that tiger trout. So I'd done a little bit of research onto this, on this specific body of water, and it seemed to me as if there were a great amount of trout in there. Like, this is a good spot. And it's not too far from another spot that I hear has walleyes, which could be handy. But it's a much, much bigger body of water. So I would have to dedicate some decent time to it. So I go and, at our first spot, again, I put in a largemouth. I caught, a 10.5-inch yellow perch, and I caught a 7.5-inch sunfish. So that's 3 points already. I'm like, and again, I was not intending on making this the mission, but it just fell in my lap. I go and we go out to this other spot, and it is packed. There's a line of cars out the door. Being out of state, it was $15 for me to park. I feel, I'm like, that's a little bit steep, but I feel like with the way it played out, it worked in my favor. So we get down to this ramp, and there's just like picnic areas and shit. They're all full. Parking is just, it's insanity. It's just absolute chaos. There's these two parking attendant dudes there trying to make sense of it all. Yeah. And I'm like, look, I go, hey, I'm going to pull up here. I'm going to rig. I'm going to go around the loop. I'm going to drop my boat in. Then I'll go and park. And he's like, yeah, just go over. And I was like, auxiliary overflow parking? And he's like, yeah. I was like, exactly. Delirious was already motioning to put his boat, and there's like people with kayaks loading at the ramp that are like, they have no idea what's going on. Right. And he's like, all right, so he gets his boat all set and he takes off to go to auxiliary parking. I go and back my boat in. I launch. I have everything all set. And then this like some dude in like a royal blue, like new Corvette, like decided to go and bring it out on the unpaved state park roads. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. He was like right near the launch and just pulls out and takes off. And it wasn't the handicap spot. That was open. I stole his spot with the quickness. Back my trailer into the woods. I was like, oh yeah, done deal. So I felt like it cost me some money, but I got really good parking, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. Fuck it. Fuck it indeed.
Beat him to it. Fuck him.
So we go and we hit the water, and Delirious is on like that. Like, he had caught a couple largemouth at the first spot. He had caught one right off the rip, and he's like, all right, cool. So there's fish in here. That's good. I was like, yeah, awesome. We make our way around, and again, like, I'm focused on that one blade profile with a small plastic. Yeah. And I'm just, again, I'm dink largemouth, sunfish, yellow perch, and I'm just like, I don't need any of these fish, but I'm putting numbers in the boat. You know what I mean? Sure. So we come up to this one spot. There's a couple of these islands, and there's this one area where there's like a picnic area, and there's a clearing that comes down right to the water, and there's these two girls and this guy, and they're blowing up inflatable paddle boards, and they have a dog with them, like a big brown lab. Chocolate lab, beautiful dog, right? Yeah. Just a big dopey dog with a life jacket on. Hilarious. They're getting out on the water, and I'm like, this is going to be hilarious. We go over, and it turns out I know one of the girls. I actually know her father. He runs a campground that I've hosted game shows at before. So we're talking for a little bit. And I'm again, sunfish, so many sunfish, dink bass and yellow perch. I'm like, okay, this is cool. We get over to this one other side of this island, and it's starting to get now like later in the afternoon. It's about 3:00. I sink in hook into a 10-inch or a 12-inch chain pickerel.
Okay.
4
little
points.
Guy.
Yeah, little guy.
Still points.
Yep.
Still points.
4 fucking points. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And then, like, I tell D, I was like, this place is so small. I go, before I leave, I want to go and fish that other spot because that's where there's some deeper holes. I'm hoping to find some trout there. I found no trout, but I did find a black crappie.
Okay.
5 points, except that your boy is an idiot. And that black crappie came in at 7.5 inches and doesn't count for the tournament. Doesn't meet the minimum. So I'm like, all right, that's got to go. Still 4 points. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm here. I am. I sent it as much as I could possibly send it. They just didn't want anything other than that BFS stuff. At least to actually get bit. It was a grind. It was a fucking grind. How about how about you, Joe? How was your week?
Oh, man, how was my week? Well, started Memorial Day, and Memorial Day, I was like, you know what, man? I'm going to go out, cut the grass, make it a day. I'm not going to take the boat out, nothing like that. I'm just going to have a day. So
yeah, I
go out. Hadn't really started up the lawnmower yet this year. Go to do my thing. Lawnmower won't start. I'm like, okay. So
that's right.
I'm not a mechanic. Let's try to figure this out. So I work on that, trying to figure it out. I cannot. It's not the battery. I put a new battery in it last year. I checked the voltage. I'm like, okay. So I did the only thing that, I really could have done when my lawnmower isn't working.
Have a beer.
And I went and bought a new one.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
So I went and bought a zero turn. That's totally probably unneeded for me, but I went. There's the local spot down me had one down there that I liked. So I went and bought a zero turn, did that, mowed the lawn, loved it. And then realized that I was still having an issue with the boat. Again, essentially the same issue that I was having before. So I called down to where I got the boat. I'm not gonna throw them under the bus yet, but they're getting close. And kind of read them a riot act. I was like, listen, I brought my boat down there for this issue. It's still doing this issue. Oh, and on top of that, now I have these issues. Electrical issues that I never had before.
Yep.
So that I haven't had till it came back from your shop. I was like, I'm going up to the St. Lawrence River on the 17th. I'm going there for a week. So you guys need to fix this.
Yeah.
This boat's 2 years old. I spent a shit ton of money on it.
Yeah.
You guys need to figure your shit out. Otherwise, I'm going somewhere else. So I'm going to fucking put you guys on blast. So it's there. I brought it back. So fast forward, I work all week. Unfortunately, I didn't get to fish this week, which I hate, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I brought the boat down there. On the way back, I brought my daughter with me. On the way back, my daughter wanted to see the fish tanks, and I knew exactly what she meant by that. She wanted to stop at Cabela's. So I was like, let's stop at Cabela's. So stopped at Cabela's. Didn't really have. There was one thing, and I was like, yeah, I kind of need this. I wanted to get some new braid. I was kind of running low on braid, and
you got to make it worth the stop,
Yeah. So I go in, I get my thing, and I was like, and I listened to an episode of Tackle Talk recently.
Yep. With
Andrew, and he had talked a little bit about the Bass Pro Shops, the XPS lures.
Yep.
Never thrown one, never used one. But he kind of talked about how some of them are really worth it, some of them are not, because they kind of just in comparison to their what they're comparing to. So They had a 25% off all their like Bass Pro XPS stuff. So I think it was just the top water stuff. But I grabbed a bunch of like their top water shit just to kind of, because I lost quite a bit last year, and so I wanted to re-up the box. So I bought like some poppers, some walking baits just to try. I want to try them, and I grabbed a few of their spinner baits because I had heard a couple things about their spinner baits. Mm-hmm. So I did that. Emma wanted she saw a rod with like one of her favorite cartoons on it, so she wanted that. So now she's got almost as many fucking rods as I do, and
that's awesome.
Except she hasn't caught the fishing bug yet, but no, she just thinks they're cool because they have cartoons on them. But other than that, man, I had another training weekend for work this weekend, so I have been up since 1 a.m.
That's brutal
because of some shit, and and I still got still going till Thursday. So other than that, man, I did get out, not fishing, but I went to actually, Bobby, I went to a new brewery that I'd never gone to yesterday. And I think you and I have talked about it. I think you've been there. It's Oakhome.
Oh yeah. I've been there a bunch.
I've never been there.
Really? Oh, it's awesome.
Went there for the first time yesterday. Dude, it's like 10 minutes from my house. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I told Meg, I was like, I got home yesterday a little bit earlier because I knew I was getting up so early. I was like, let's go hit this brewery. We keep saying we're going to try it. It's fucking 10 minutes from the house. They had phenomenal beer. They had good music going on.
Yep.
And we had a blast. Brought Emma. She found some friends, fucking did her thing. And then from there, we went to BT's. I was like, well,
my God.
I was like, well.
Yes.
Yep. I was like, well, we might as well hit the fucking 148 and head up to BT's.
Why not, right?
And so went up there. It was kind of wild. We just hit the rush. We got there at like 5:30.
Oh,
and like we pretty dangerous. So we got our food, and they're like, the food will be out in like 20 minutes. I was like, that's fine. We waited at like that little bar seat they had until a booth opened up, sat at the booth. And like right around the time, probably like 15 minutes after we got there, right before we're getting our food, the line just got crazy there. Dude, they started doing like announcements. They're like, the first one was, all right, and this line's like out the door. They're like, by the time you get to the register, it's going to be about 35 to 45 minutes for food. I was like, oh God, glad we beat that.
When you did,
10 minutes later, like, all right, when you get to the register, it's going to be about an hour until you get your food. Yeah, dude, it just kept and like not that many. I figured that was going to be like, all right, that whole line is just going to leave, and it didn't, dude. Like maybe half of them.
So dedicated.
Oh my gosh. And I think they were so swamped. It sounded like because they're getting a shit ton of online orders, like takeout orders. Yeah. So, but that place is phenomenal. Their food is so good. If you guys haven't been to BT Smokehouse in Sturbridge on Route 20, you're missing out. You need to go try it. Yeah. It's definitely the best barbecue in my area.
Best barbecue in the entire state, man. No bullshit.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's
Brian does an amazing job.
Yep, he really does. I'm pretty sure they opened up a spot in Worcester too, if I remember right.
I believe they have a chicken joint in Worcester.
Okay, I think you're right.
Yeah,
which their fried chicken is phenomenal, by the way. And so Emma, that's what my daughter got, and I was like, let me try a piece of that because I always do it. I always go for the brisket and the beef beef rib. Those are like my go-tos. And I tried her chicken. I was like, wow.
And it's out of this world.
Yeah. So we went there, had a couple of cocktails, tried to go to bed early. Mm-hmm. It was one of those things where you're like, oh my God, I got to get up so early. And it's not for something I want to do.
Yeah.
So it was like I stared at the ceiling with that anxiety of I'm not going to wake up to my alarm. So probably slept for an actual like hour, maybe two. And then, my bullshit day today. That's about, unfortunately, no fishy shit for me this week, really, other than some like maintenance and telling people they need to get their shit together. So my expensive ass fucking boat is good to go.
I can't even believe that. That is insane.
Dude, it fucking pisses me off. And like, I get it, dude. I mean, especially bass boats, they are money pits. I've said it on the show before. They are fucking money pits. Thank God mine's still under warranty but it's terrifying for like, and I know you've heard the term, the COVID boats.
Oh yeah.
Mine's a COVID boat, dude.
100%. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, mine came just after the COVID bullshit. Mine's a 22. So that probably doesn't help. But yeah, they just need to get their shit together, dude. I need that boat ready to go. I mean,
and like, you know, I mean, the St. Lawrence trip is one thing, but like when you think about it, like when you've got somebody's bass boat, right? That bass boat is not just like a recreational vehicle. Like, sure. Obviously it is to an extent, but if that angler is putting money on the line to go and fish tournaments, it's 100%. Pretty important that is working to the best or the highest standard it can, you know?
Right.
Especially when it's something like your trim. That's a big deal.
And I had to leave that tournament because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Now I'm, you know, potentially losing money on this. Yeah. So it's like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that does suck.
So Skeeter, get your shit together.
On,
I love your boat.
Yeah.
But fuck.
Yeah,
that's all I gotta say about that.
That does suck. You know, I'm glad you brought up the brewery and BT's actually.
Let's hear it.
The last time I was at Oakholm, I was doing a wedding for some friends of my family. It was like I want to say it was like a Monday or a Tuesday. It was an odd day. I think I had actually talked to you about that when I was there. But what's crazy, BT's was the catering for that wedding. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. I went in and I was just like, yeah, so when, do you want me to like release tables for dinner? Who's the caterer? All this other stuff. I was like, oh, it's BT's. I was just like, yes.
Yeah,
life is going to be good. This is great.
They must be a pretty penny to get fucking to cater for you.
No joke. And I'll tell you this much. It kind of runs hand in hand. One of the things I was working on Monday is I'm working on another podcast, a totally different kind of animal. The show is called A Bite and a Few Drinks is what it's called. And it's going to be a food show. Food. Actually, it's basically going to say, let's say this. It'll be about cocktails and like light bites. So local hotspots everywhere I want to be talking about. And I'm actually looking to try to collaborate with folks that are in that sort of like food and beverage space. Obviously, I've got from my job, I've got some connections that way. And I'm just going to put together like a rotating sort of Rolodex of like different people that are going to be on the show. I'm hoping that my wife will actually be a part of the show because one of our favorite things to do as a married couple is to go out for a bite and a few drinks. That's how we phrase it.
Sure.
And I'm like, this could be really good. So I want to do some recording on location, like in some of these spots, which would be cool. And then like the way we record here, where it's just online and, you know, folks can be wherever. We talk about all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely all about it. That's one of the things that I've been working on. That's pretty crazy.
That'll be awesome.
The other thing that we got to talk about, actually, you know what, Joe? Do you have any headlines this week?
I do.
You do. Why don't we jump into those?
Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into those, and then I'll talk about the month of May afterwards.
All right, got a couple stories for you guys this week. I actually kind of like browsed through these, so I'm going to go ahead and go through them, and hopefully I don't fuck them up too bad. So first one here is an unfortunate one, so I don't want to like joke about it or anything, but 2 dead after fishing barge capsized on Toledo Bend Lake. So the call received just before noon reported a capsized fishing barge in the Pirates Cove area, Toledo Bend Lake. Initial reports indicate 6 individuals were on board during the incident. Fortunately, 4 managed to swim to safety, while tragically the other 2 drowned. The victims' bodies were later located and retrieved during a rescue operation. The SPSO commends the efforts of the North Sabine Fire District and a lot of long names I can't really pronounce, and their Sheriff's Department for their assistance in the search. The Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries is currently conducting an investigation into the incident. Sucks to hear about this stuff. I mean, granted, this is a fishing barge, not so much like a fishing boat or anything, but make sure you guys have all your safety shit you need, because I mean, we just talked about that bass boat that went up on shore and the guy fucked himself up real bad. So shit happens. Oh yeah. I mean, I've had some scary moments in my boat. You know, you could be the best boat operator or think you are, and it just takes one little thing. Yeah, to change your fucking day for the worse. So the next one was kind of brought to my attention by, it's funny you have Nick Deschaine in here, because he brought this to my attention during Instagram. So it's going to be kind of like, I'm going to read you guys this, and then I kind of want to have a little discussion with you, Bobby, and like I want to hear from the folks here. So massive flathead caught on trot line is just shy of state record. Okay, and the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation announced Tuesday that one of the biggest flathead catfish ever recorded in the state had been caught on a trot line. In the accompanying photo, resident angler Bradley Courtwright stands in a truck bed and holds up the massive catfish that he pulled from Pine Creek Reservoir on May 13th. I've caught some big catfish over 50 pounds, Courtwright tells Outdoor Life, but this is the biggest I'd ever seen. Officials from the ODWC says it's the largest flathead ever taken from Pine Creek Reservoir, a 3,500-acre lake in the southeast corner of the state. If Courtwright would have caught the fish on a rod and reel, it would have crushed the Oklahoma state record by nearly 20 pounds. But it was just 11 pounds shy of the standing state record in the unrestricted division, which includes fish caught with trot lines, as well as by bow fishing and any other legal means. That title still belongs to 106-pounder, which was also caught on a trot line and pulled from Worcester Lake in 1977. Even so, it's a remarkable fish. So, and that kind of talks about like what he did there, whatever, on the trot line. So it was kind of, like the conversation, I think, Nick was kind of pointing to me. It's, we had talked about the young lady that caught the catfish, and they ended up making it the record, even though it was on a jug line, not rod and reel. So apparently, Oklahoma is doing it the way I think it should be done. By having that unrestricted category for the non-rod reel when it comes to, whether these guys are fucking noodling, trot lines, jug lines, however they fish for them. But, this guy caught this thing on trot line, but because it wasn't rod and reel, he does not, get into that category. But I mean, the record stands for the actual trot line record that hasn't been broken since 1977. So kudos Oklahoma. I think they're kind of doing it right. I don't think someone like you or I, who, focuses 1,000% on rod and reel fishing.
With artificial baits and all that.
I just don't think that we should be, when it comes to records and everything. And granted, this is my personal opinion. Other opinions may vary. But good on them for separating them, having a different category. I think that should kind of be the standard for every state. And I mean, again, it's actually that the picture of that young lady is still on here, but yeah. So Ohio, nope. It doesn't matter how you catch it. It's all put in the same category. Oklahoma, they have it all separated by the, unrestricted or whatever. So it was kind of a good tidbit of information that Nick sent me, who listens to the show routinely, and he kind of had a thought on it, wanted to see what we think about it. And that's kind of
that's the whole thing. I think that's the way you keep accurate records, is when it comes to like the method of how things are caught. It's like, is it going to be that much more extra work? Yeah, absolutely it is. But then you don't have to wonder and say like, well, was that fish caught on another method? Right. Yeah, I think that's good. John Higgins chimes in. He says they're finally having talks about record rule changes in Ohio after the jug line situation, which I think that's what it is. It's like you have a group, a committee that's in charge of this, And they don't necessarily know any. So they're like, well, we can, and they're just thinking, let's make it easier on ourselves. We'll just keep, that's what the record is. The record is what the record is. Who cares?
Yeah, of course.
They don't realize that there is this community of people who absolutely care. If I was not just an angler with rod and reel, but if I were in a state where I could fish with trot lines or jug lines or anything like that, I would want to know, like, that method, like what the record was for that method of fishing,
Yeah, of course.
Like, of course. And I don't think that that's weird.
I agree. And this is the kind of the perspective that came into my mind, especially with, all this stuff seems to be drawn around catfish, different types of catfish. Think about it this way, Bobby. Let's say, you decide, you go down south, you being a rod and reel angler, you're like, I'm going to try to grab, my PB or world record, catfish. I'm going to camp right here on the shore for days until I catch this thing.
Yep.
Right. So you're out there and you've seen fish, they're there, and maybe they're just not hungry. They don't want to do the bait that you want. And then you have fucking Bubba come down in the water, gets in up to his fucking shorts or whatever, and sees that fish and just goes and grabs it with his hands, noodling. It's like, I got the world record. As you watch from your fucking,
like, fuck,
as a short your rod reel, like shit, that can't be in the same fucking category.
Well, I mean, I'll even go like a step further, and I mean, I'm glad John's in the chat because he can give some feedback. But let's look at this way, all right? So let's say you set a trot line, like a trot line, so that people know is a line that is anchored to something on the bank. So it could be a pole, it could be a tree, it could be anything like that. And usually a trot line has multiple hooks on it, right? So you'll have like a hook however many feet or something like that. I mean, I suppose you could put just one, but like, what's the use? You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're doing. You're tying these so that you have multiple hooks on there. So it's like a trap, ultimately. That's really what it is. You're setting a trap for the fish. But then I think there's anglers that would look at like, well, if you're going out and you can legally have 3 rods in the water at the same time, or whatever that is laid out there, if you could cast X amount and you're going to leave those baits in for 12 hours, isn't that the same thing? The only difference is that you're there to set the hook.
I was just going to say,
you know what I mean?
A lot of these trot line guys just leave them there.
Oh yeah, they definitely
X
leave
amount of hours or days. While you're sitting there fucking eyeing.
I think like what happens with these dudes that are like throwing trot lines or anything like that, they're coming back and they're checking them, and like I've seen, I'll tell you what, like for a hot minute. I had to look and see if trot lines were legal in Massachusetts because I was like, that is how I'm going to get my catfish for the fucking tournament. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. Fuck it. No, it is highly illegal in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
We cannot do that shit up here. So that's not going to work. So, but I have done some homework looking into how it's done. And it seems like a lot of these guys will go out there and they're like, fuck, we got robbed of our bait on all of these. So it's not like it's a sure thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, so I think like that's where I think the committee or whoever's in charge of this is just sort of like, isn't it kind of the same thing? Like you're taking bait and you're putting it in the water.
Right.
I mean, manned or not, you're going to come back. They're either going to rob you of it and you're not there, or you're going to you'll be there and you can set the hook. So John chimes in. He says, finally having docks. Okay, so he goes, even the world record flathead out of Kansas has questions. 123 pounds on a crappie rig. There are folks close to a situation that suggested it was snagged. It could be. And then he makes a point. He's like, yes, those lines are manned. And then he says they will run trot lines every 6 hours or so and rebait if they're following the laws. Oh, yeah, I guess it depends on the state. Because, like, one of these guys specifically that I'm watching is in Louisiana. And let's be honest,
Louisiana's lawless.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. When it comes to, like, what you can do in Louisiana, you can get away with a lot of shit.
Sure.
Sure. But God damn you if you smoke a joint, you piece of
fucking degenerate shit.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's still pretty funny to me.
It is hilarious.
but you can buy a bottle of fucking Everclear and drink yourself fucking stupid.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
That's perfectly legal.
Oh, yeah. It's just interesting, man. You know, but who wouldn't want to have their records clear and concise?
Yeah, it's just, man. You know, I obviously have my viewpoint on it. Everyone's viewpoint could be different, and that's fine.
Cajun country
rules. But yeah, I mean, if you guys, if anyone listening has opinions on it, you know, reach out to Bobby or myself.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Call the hotline.
Yes, call the hotline. Call the hotline. Let us know what you think of this situation. Should records for rod reel, trot line, everything be in the same category? Should they be differentiated? What do you think? Let us know.
Absolutely. If you guys need that hotline number, if you're looking for it, it's 413-324-8519.
That number again.
413-324-8519. You guys hear it every single week in the hotline promo spot. Call the hotline and sound off. What do you think about your records? Should you be able to, you know, what about your state, where you are? Tell us about that, because I'm curious. Like, you know, there might be a good chunk of states where they're just like, of course we, you know, pay attention to the details here. Of course. And then there's other fucking states that are just like, well, let's just lump everything together and it's fine. You guys want to go to Golden Corral for lunch? Let's go do that.
Maybe we're just like, you know, Yankee fucking prissy assholes from up north. And, you know, you southern guys have a different viewpoint, so we want to hear it.
Yeah, interesting. So I got to talk about Dave Shade for a second.
Okay.
Dave Shade is a maniac, man. So I have been watching the standings on the old Fishing Chaos app and looking at May. Oh, God, May. Looking at May. It has been amazing what's gone down in the last 4 weeks for the scavenger hunt over in May. 27 anglers, which is 7 or 8 less than the previous month. 350 fish entered. 350 fish. Y'all fished your ass off. You absolutely did. We had 27 anglers, the full leaderboard. Out of that 27, all 27 entered fish, which was not the case in April. That's awesome. All 27 entered fish. Now, Dave Shade, this is going into like week 3. Dude was at 17 points. And I'm like, fuck, dude. How's this going to, how is this going to work? I just want to go through, like, he smoked it. And initially, I was in a pretty good position, and I was just about to tie Gravy, and it was looking good. It was looking good for me. And then last week happened the way that it did, and it went to shit fast. I'll say this: Janelle Orsino fucking killed it. She tied Gravy in there, and I still have to go and verify all the winners and everything like that. But Dave put down 17 species.
That is wild.
That is insane, my friend. And I don't think he did it exclusively from the bank this time. When he won, he did last year when he was exclusive from the bank. But this is impressive. Like, this is truly impressive. I'm just interested to see what's gonna come of it all later. But May was amazing. Thank you to everybody who entered fish and joined it. You guys were absolutely awesome. June is live right now. Like, we're 2 days into June. We have a handful of folks that have already entered some fish, which is awesome. It's already starting. Registration will be open until the 8th. So go ahead and register now if you want to join us for that. Now, I do want to mention the slot limit tournament is on the 29th. Right now, numbers for the slot limit tournament aren't great. Like, it looks like it's just a couple of dudes, to tell you the truth. I'm going to actually take a look and get like up to the minute details on what's going on. No, we have 4 anglers entered. 4 anglers entered in the Jigs and Bigs slot limit tournament. Now, just so everybody's clear on the rough sort of version of the rules of how this works, this event is a single day. You have, I believe it's 8 hours to fish nationwide. And you have, in those 8 hours, you need to try to catch as many fish as you can that meet the minimum requirement, which is 12 inches. And the maximum requirement is 17. The moment that fish touches that 17 and a quarter line, it's automatically disqualified. So that is the slot limit, 12 to 17 inch fish. You just got to try to catch as many as you can. Think of that body of water where you're just like, man, there's so many fish in that window. I'm just going to go and just put the hammer down and just catch them. Go for it. I have a spot that I'm planning on going to, and I keep reconsidering. I'm like, oh, what about this spot? What about this spot? What about this spot? I think I'm just
the same way.
I'm just going to stick to my guns and just go where I'm planning on going. I think it'll just be a whole lot of fun. Plus, there's some other species in there that might work out for the scavenger hunt. Could be awesome.
Sure.
And that's what it's all about. But 12-inch minimum. And some folks are just like, I had, who was it? I forget who it was, had messaged me and they're just like, oh, I'd love to enter that, but the smallest fish I ever catch, they're 18 inches. And I was just like, so go to another pond.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and he's like, oh, I'm just kidding. It's just, and some people can't get over that slot limit.
Ooh, fancy pants, 18-inch fish.
Well, let me explain why it is that way. 12 to 17-inch fish can be caught anywhere, and it levels the playing field from the rest of the country and those southern states that they harbor giants. The feeding cycle is different. Like, it's a different sort of animal. So, it's not that we're playing to smaller fish. We're just trying to level the playing field so that somebody in Minnesota can compete with somebody in Florida. That's what it gets down to.
I was just thinking about Bobby. I know the numbers are kind of low, and you guys need to get out there, sign up for this tournament because it's going to be awesome. But for us Massachusetts guys, dude, people probably have PTSD from last year still.
I'll bet you they do.
So they're kind of just waiting to see what the weather's going to be like because, none of us were even able to fish. So.
Yeah, we had a pretty good turnout last year for the Midsummer Mayhem, and like all of that money went to there was only like 5 or 6 people that actually fished because the weather was just insane. So, I mean, I get that, but I think you have until like 11:59 the night before to register. So I'm hoping that everybody's going to be like, oh, boom, we're going to go ahead and enter, and this is going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Let me double check the rules real quick on this as far as the pay structure. Oh, no, we are doing structured payouts. It's not winner take all. This is good. So again, it follows out 1 to 10 anglers. We get first and second payouts. 11 to 20 anglers, first, second, and third. 21 to 30, first, second, third, and fourth, and so on and so on. Every time we add a 10, we add another position that pays out. Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure about that if it was winner take all or not. I wonder if maybe winner take all would be the move for that. It's a lot of money.
I love the winner take all.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that, especially something like this. There's a couple tournaments I do every year that are structured that way. It's like, just like, no, second, third place. If you ain't first, you ain't last, Bobby. Or if you ain't first, you're last, Bobby.
It's true. It's one of those things where I think it might be, I don't know if we'll make that change there. Like, I do have a vision for like an elite version of the scavenger hunt, and that's going to be winner take all.
Yeah,
because that's going to be a very short list of qualifying anglers.
Just put a poll out on Instagram or something. See what people think.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
See where
Switch
people's
it to winner
heads
take all. Yeah. It could be interesting. Some people, too, they're just like, it makes them a little nervous because they're like, if I come in second, I'd like to get something back. You know what I mean? If I come in
what you do,
third,
Bobby?
What's that?
You don't come in second or don't come in second or third. That's it.
It's just that easy. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, this is great. A couple of folks jumping in here. John Hagan says he's got 4 spots within 30 minutes, 30 minutes of each other, and he's considering for the slot tourney. Tim Behan says, no clue where I'll fish. My pond will be covered in water chestnuts. God damn it. That sucks, Tim. That really sucks. I have a little bit of a plan. We'll see what we do. Chinese restaurant will take them, Tim. That's what John says. They will. Yeah, they can't get enough of them. They love them. Yep. Guys, we're going to take a short break. When we get back, we have an FTG for you guys this week that you're going to love. And it comes from a source that I never thought we were going to hear from in the confines of an FTG situation. And man, is it good. It's sweet. And then I'm going to talk gear of the week. Remember I told you I caught one earlier today on a finesse swim bait, a 4-inch swim bait. I chose a very specific jig head, and it's becoming my go-to jig head for fishing light to moderate cover with an open hook style jig head for like something like a swim bait. We'll talk all about that. It's by Picasso, and it's just something I happened to stumble on last year. So we'll talk more in just a bit, guys. Don't go too far. More Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, A-Bay Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for just the tip or bait of the week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast. Something about when Paul Roberts just comes in with that intro right there, right out the gate for segment 2, you know that this is going to be juicy. You also know that we don't have a tip to share this week. So that's a dead giveaway right there. But Joe, if I were to ask you, now you've met Chrissy fishing in the past, right? You've met Chrissy. Yeah. If I were to ask you, would you ever, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think the likelihood is that Chrissy Fishing would ever call the Jigs and Bigs hotline with an FTG?
I would put that as very low because she's such like a humble,
yeah, she doesn't,
just like such a humble person.
Well, Chrissy delivered. Chrissy delivered bigly today. And
here's how I look at it. If Chrissy is setting an FTG in, then it's a fucking
It's got to be a big one.
The dude's got to be a real fucker, or dudettes got to be a real fucking asshole.
Oh, wait till you hear this. You guys are going to enjoy this. So, and now I give to you Chrissy Fishing.
Hey guys, it's Chrissy, and I've got an FTG for you. So I was fishing the MAKB tournament on Singletary today. It's pretty rocky there. There's a ton of boulders, and I got snagged on a rock fishing offshore. Just a few flicks of the line, and it's unsnagged. No problem, right? Wrong. Because here comes Karen. and she yells, "Did you hook my boat?" Now, mind you, I'm fishing with my back to the shore, and I'm so far away from her dock that she had to shout so that I could hear her. I thought she had to be joking, but no, she's dead serious. So I'm like, "Lady, I'm nowhere near your boat. I'm fishing offshore in 20 feet of water. Are you okay?" She had nothing to say after that. Or if she did, I didn't hear her because I was so far away. So yeah, F that lady. Bye.
F that lady indeed.
Oh, I know so much about that body of water too.
I thought about that. I was like, oh, he's familiar. Yeah. And it is rocky. I've heard from so many people that
that's all it is, dude.
Yeah. It's like, I got to send it out there. I've never fished Singletary myself, and it might be worth doing.
Oh, I didn't know you've never fished
I've never fished there. No.
That's a fun place, dude. It's like, it's feast or famine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I got some spots for you there.
Although
I was just there last week.
I'll tell you what, like, since I've been throwing around the ultralight stuff, I have turned what would be a really tough day into a day. At least saved it a little bit, and then I've turned like a day where it was all right into like so much. I do love Dan Griffin's comedy. He says so many dick bags on that lake.
Yeah.
Chrissy goes, so you know how far away from the dock is how far away from the docks 20 feet is, Joe? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's fucking out there.
So you have some good people, you have some shitty people. It's there was one guy who I had like a conversation with because I was like fishing his in and around his dock. Yep. And Singletary has a lot of McMansions on it, very expensive houses. And I go, and it was his boathouse that I was fishing around, his dock. Yeah. And I was just like, I see him coming down. I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. And then, no, he was actually like the nicest guy ever, like asking what I've been catching and stuff. But yeah, Chrissy, fuck, next time you fish that place, reach out to me. I got some pointers.
That's good. And it blows my mind because people have nothing better to do than to just whine about like, are you near my boat? Are you, and it's like they almost project the issues that they might have had with like an actual like degenerate angler in that area before. Yeah. It's crazy. She says the funniest part is I was drop shotting. You gotta love it. I hope you guys are ready for this gear of the week though.
Okay, gearheads, it's time to talk tools. Jigs and Bigs gear of the week.
So you guys, we have talked about Picasso Lures before a handful of times, primarily about the Picasso shock blades and its variety of different models that you can get into. There's a specific shock blade that I like that I can customize colors with and stuff. But I last year was looking around for, so I'm going to share a little bit about lead laws. Okay. Massachusetts lead laws are kind of weird. They really are. They're written in a way that make you ask a lot of questions. But what we've ascertained is that essentially you need to use a lead alternative if your lure doesn't have a blade on it or something of that effect. So if you're using a bladed jig, a lead sinker is fine for that. If you're using a bladed jig, if you're using an underspin, a spinner bait, things like that. Now, when I'm throwing, and I like to throw a lot of more subtle moving presentations, specifically in the form of 3 and 4 inch swim baits a lot of times, different models for different stuff. And I'll tell you, like the ball head jig has kind of become one of my go-tos to just have on hand in a variety of shapes and sizes. I do like to use like the nice swim bait heads with the eyes and everything on there. And that stuff's great, but like a ball head jig just gets it done And it works. It works great. And last year, I was shopping around on the Picasso Lures website, and this was after I had seen, I forget what the YouTube video was, but I discovered that Picasso makes a tungsten weedless ball head jig. And what's interesting about this is that it's 97% tungsten.
Yep.
It is. Oh, let me go back and then forward so I can actually see this. Yeah, it's unbreakable. It's 97% one piece tungsten. It's increased sensitivity and feel, all the stuff you'd expect from tungsten stuff. It's got chip resistant Duraseal paint. It's got a really solid bait keeper that's a little bit longer. It goes about midway down the shaft of the hook, and it holds that plastic in place great. It also has 2 unbreakable nickel titanium weed guards that are in place, and they're not the type of weed guards that move around a lot. They're super rigid, and that alone gives me so much confidence to throw that in some other spots where I'm like, an open hook bait is just going to get lost, like around wood, stuff like that. I think it's just an absolute home run. Now, what's cool about it is with these, you can get them in 1/8, 3/16, 1/4, 3/8, or 1/2 ounce. In the 1/8, you can get a 2-aught, 3-aught, or 4-aught hook. Same thing all the way down until you get to 1/2 ounce, you drop the 2-aught. So these are really customizable, and that's what I like. I've gone and created some where I have, that smaller shank hook for a 3-inch paddle tail or a 3-inch swim bait, and then I've got other ones for a 4 where it sets that hook point a little bit further back. And I do this with intention, and it's become the go-to when I'm looking to throw a ball head jig for a swim bait or a grub even, something like that. These are fantastic. Have you ever used these, Joe?
I haven't. I haven't used those. No.
I'll get you.
I do love Picasso, dude.
Dude, I'm telling you,
they're becoming one of my go-tos.
And I like that Picasso really does some innovative shit, And I think like the little weed guards are a big deal, I was throwing into everything today, and I didn't get hung up once. And it is nice. I mean, like, is it a little extra to have titanium weed guards? Yeah, it's extra as fuck. They're lighter though, and they're rigid as shit. Like, they don't really bend out of place too easily. Like, they're rigid as hell. It's a really, really good thing. So that's my submission for Gear of the Week this week. I used one today. I caught fish on them today. And they are super sexy with the big Joshies. Super sexy. With that is it a 3 1/4 inch? Yeah, I think it's a 3 1/4 inch big Joshie.
Yep.
Yeah, they are perfect. It sets that hook right where you want it. And some of the areas where I was fishing, it was real close to deep water. So yeah. I wanted them to be a little bit heavier just to be able to get down that much quicker. And they do the job. So check it out. Picasso's awesome. And they've been in the Dark Horse tackle boxes before with the shock blade, and then also with that, what do you call it? I guess it's kind of like an inline spinner in a way with a jig head on the back end of it, which is kind of crazy. Yeah. Lead and legal in Mass because of the blade.
Ooh, I just thought of something. I'm going to have a Gear of the Week for next week.
Yeah? Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. This just made me think of it. It's kind of a new go-to for me.
I started talking about this and it made me think of something. I was having a conversation with Adam Blomeke. And this was, I guess... it might have been on my account. We were having a conversation about, he was telling me about these finesse jigs. He's like, I know you really like the, BFS and finesse stuff, I was looking into something that I think you would really, really like. And, oh, damn it, I don't know where it went. It was a conversation we were having. Oh, maybe it was via text. See, I'm such a mess. I should have had this together. Oh, there we go. So we were having this conversation, and he was telling me about these bladed jigs, or not bladed jigs, these little finesse jigs And I was like, I said, those are sweet. I goes, I'm going to take a look at them, and I might even just place an order. I said, the big question is, are they lead? And he was like, they are. He's like, what's the minimum size you can use in mass? And I said, 1 ounce, because that's the way that it's worded. And I shared a link with him. And it was a story about lead fishing bands. And he was like, in New Hampshire, how does this work? So these are the states where there are lead restrictions. New Hampshire has a lead restriction, and I think they actually do it the right way. They prohibit the use of lead sinkers up to 1 ounce and lead jigs up to 1 inch in length in all waters. I like the fact that there's a point to be made there. It's like 1 inch. Okay, well, pretty much anything over, any certain type of like reasonable weight is going to be over 1 inch in most cases. So you're probably okay there. That was effective since 2000. That was the first state to do it. Was New Hampshire.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know that. In 2002, Maine started with theirs. They prohibit the use of lead sinkers or jigs weighing 1 ounce or less. Retail outlets there are prohibited from selling lead sinkers or jigs weighing 1 ounce or less. New York prohibits the sale of lead sinkers 1/2 ounce or less. And that's been effective in 2004. Vermont in 2006 prohibits the use of lead fishing sinkers 1/2 ounce or less. Retail outlets are prohibited from selling lead sinkers and lead jigs weighing 1/2 ounce or less. And Massachusetts in 2012 is when we started, prohibits the use of lead fishing sinkers and jigs less than 1 ounce in all inland waters. So that's like just a blanket one, and I think that's where people get really confused.
Yeah.
Because that was the first thing Adam said was, how can you guys buy lead stuff? And I'm like, because I guess in theory you don't necessarily have to be using it there, but odds are you're going to be using it there. If you
I
buy
went through that.
Yeah.
When I had the shop.
It's crazy. And then in Washington in 2011, they prohibit the use. Washington prohibits the use of lead fishing sinkers or lead jigs that measure 1.5 inch or less along the longest access, but only at 12 lakes in the state where loons breed and rear their young. Super specific.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things to kind of keep in mind. Like, I was like, no shit. So I looked that up and I found that source. And I was like, again, like that source might not be dead to nuts exactly with whatever, but I thought it was interesting that it gave the timeline of like when these states started and that New Hampshire was actually the first one.
Live free or die my ass.
Unless you got loons.
You know what I mean?
Unless you got loons.
Guys, how do you feel about Canada? I feel pretty great about Canada, to tell you the truth. And we're going to hear from my favorite Canadian. He's in my top 5, and he's in good company. Matty Matheson's in my top 5. Drake is in my top 5. You know what I mean? And then Nick Deschaine makes that list as well. So we've got Nick in this next segment. We have a great conversation. You're not going to want to miss it, guys. Don't go too far. We got much more Jigs and Bigs coming up. We'll be back on the back end of this interview. We're not going nowhere. We'll see you guys in a bit. Alrighty, guys. Bobby Roast Beef back here. Guys, we have a fantastic interview segment this week in the Beef Seat. This is an interview I've been really looking forward to. Let's rewind a little bit. A few months ago, Bobby Roast Beef and Who the Fuck is Joe Brown, we found ourselves out in the Columbus, Ohio area, and we got to meet a number of fantastic folks from the Dark Horse Tackle Pro Staff team. And one of those guys that we got to meet was the one and only Nick Deschaine. And Nick, I got to tell you, dude, upon first meeting you, I knew that you had excellent taste in not only, fishing accessories and accoutrements, if you will, but also like you rolled in with a plethora of snacks and drinks that were out of this world. You were the guy that rolled in with the Clamato, which...
That's right.
I don't know if you realize this, but with me, you made a friend for life.
Perfect. That was my intention. You got to come there and get straight.
It's amazing. It was that weekend was out of this world. I still rant and rave about how fantastic it was. Nick, how have things been? It's been a couple of months since I've seen you.
It's been excellent. It's been a little busy. Been fishing in a couple different places. Was fortunate enough to get out of town a couple times.
That's awesome, man.
Good.
And you've been doing some traveling. You've sent some pictures of some of your exploits lately. And dude, I mean, I've kind of been living vicariously. Like I've done some trips, but nothing like what you've got going on. Why don't you kind of catch us up to speed with what you've been doing for trips and everything, and then we'll get into the origin story and all that stuff.
That works. So I just got back from a 5-day trip in Cabo. We 5 days there, and we fished 3 days aboard the Right Rigger. That's Captain Alex Rogers and his crew, Christian and Esteban. They put us on 46 striped marlin, 16 dorado, 12 tuna, 3 sharks, and a jack in 3 days.
3 sharks. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
That is out of this freaking world.
It was an amazing experience, an amazing trip. They let you be as hands-on as you wanted to.
That's cool.
It was just, I can't say enough. It was great.
Was this your first outing of that caliber?
Yes. And I would say that because of the group we were with. Like I had some industry hammers that ended up showing up, like professional guys. There was a guide from Alaska was there.
Yep.
There was a bear hunting guide from Montana.
No shit.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff, right? Like another guy was there. He had hunted all over the world, had 2 Grand Slams. So it was big time outdoorsman.
That's awesome, man. What a great, and like what an amazing, not just a trip for the trip itself and the fish that you caught and the experience and everything, but like a really amazing opportunity to network with some other folks. And who knows where this could be? You could be doing a guided hunt in Alaska. You know, I mean, who knows?
Definitely. I feel like they've made friends for life.
That's awesome.
Great guys.
That's fucking badass, dude. I'm so stoked. So stoked. So let's go ahead and we'll turn the clock back. Go ahead. Let's catch us up to date. Tell us about young Nick Deschaine, the outdoorsman. And I should mention, earlier on, when I first had done the intro, in the background, you could hear Canadian geese in the back, which if that wasn't a tell at all, Nick is an international guest. You know, we only have so many of those.
That's right. Those fucking Cobra chickens, you can't get away from them.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It's freaking ridiculous. COVID chickens, I love them. So yeah, give us the whole origin story. Like, how did you get into the outdoors, and kind of walk us up to present day, and definitely tell us about how you got connected with Dark Horse, and share that story as well.
Perfect. Yeah. So born and raised just south of Windsor, Ontario.
Yeah.
So on the Detroit River, I'm halfway between Lake St. Clair and Lake Erie. Mm-hmm. So I'm fortunate enough to be, at the epicenter of the greatest freshwater fishery in the world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard not to get into fishing when you're here, and you'd be stupid not to, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up fishing a lot of local canals. We are still very industrialized, right?
Yep.
So you can get the urban fishing thing, and that's where you kind of cut your teeth as a kid in the canals, perch, pike, largemouth, all the plethora of, the typical northern species.
Oh, yeah.
And then from there, right, anytime, you head up north to a buddy's cottage or anything like that, you have to take advantage of the northern lakes that we have.
Oh, yeah.
And then, yeah, anytime, vacation, really hard not to go out on an offshore trip or even an inshore trip, right?
Yeah.
Anything, anywhere, right? It's pretty cool.
Definitely. Friggin' badass, dude. So when was it about the time where you had crossed paths and with Dark Horse and got into being part of the pro staff team?
So it's been a few years now. Yeah. I subscribed to the other guys, and it was always just a disappointment, right?
Yep.
So I was it would have been Tackle Talk I was listening to, and they came on the ad, and they had mentioned, they were talking about all small business, American made small businesses, right? And it's something that you can actually support, right? If you really get to think about it, it's difficult to spend your money in a lot of the places in the industry anymore, right?
Oh yeah.
So 2 of those places are like guides, like we were talking about before, and the custom tackle makers, you know, and when they were coming across that, it's like, oh yeah, this is like my bread and butter. I got to sign up. I'd actually tried to sign up, and my mistake, I couldn't figure out the international shipping, right?
Oh,
so I messaged him on Instagram, and I'm like, hey, if you ever start shipping to Canada, let me know. Like, I'm super interested. And it was like 5 minutes later, they messaged back like, you definitely can, man. So that's I signed awesome. Right up, and I've been hooked ever since.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's quality stuff in the box, and like I love the fact that they're kind of branching out. They're becoming that online boutique go-to for stuff you can't find in the big box stores necessarily. You know, and some of these producers are putting product out that is so limited that a lot of the large retailers just won't carry it, you know? So Dark Horse kind of fills that niche where you're like, hey, you want to find a jig or a buzzbait or any piece of tackle that is definitely a little bit more unique and has a little bit more innovation behind it. Here we have a whole storefront. You can put it together.
That's just right. Like I can guarantee you nobody's tackle box looks like mine around here.
Oh, for sure.
And when it even... and not even just colors and paint jobs and everything else, which are great and outstanding, but like the quality of everything, you know, especially dealing with toothy critters up here, like you want to have good stuff.
Definitely. It definitely helps. Yeah. And it's great. All the hard baits that you get, they all have great hardware on them. The vector hooks, like they all stand up really, really well. Let's talk. You mentioned like nobody has a tackle box like yours. I got to go and share this. So among meeting like all of these amazing personalities in one Airbnb, I'm sitting there. Now, granted, myself and Adam Blomecki, we had indulged a little bit, I think, in some edibles upon arriving. And we were like the first two that were there. So we're, you know, in a little bit of a way, and all these folks are rolling in. We're like, hey, I've only met you online, man. Nice to meet you in person. This is kind of crazy. And then Nick comes in and he busts open, like, I'm trying to think of the movie that this comes from, but it's like a case where it's like some like crazy plutonium is in there or something like that. And there's like fog coming out of the case and it's like all lit up. And he opens up this box of large swim baits and glides. And I was just like, holy shit, has Christmas come? This is amazing. You put together a pretty nice little collection, and you see something like that and you're like, okay, well, so this guy must be married to throwing these big baits. What's your like go-to handful of lures that you lean on when you need to get bit? Are they the big swim baits?
They're not. So I may catch shit for this, but amongst, many of the things I almost did in life was, I had considered going into studying art.
Oh yeah.
So when I see these big swim baits, like it's hard for me to not see it as art, and I love it as that collection.
Yep.
So like, I have like top shelf baits, right? I'm not afraid to buy display baits, and again, I appreciate it, right? I appreciate the craftsmanship that goes into it,
yeah,
the artistic touches that go into it. Like it is. I do see it as truly an art. So like, if I am buying those big baits, it's, I don't feel guilty keeping them on a shelf, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I appreciate them every day.
Yep. No, I can definitely get behind that. You know what I mean? There are folks that like, I like old lures. You know what I mean? I like to go and find like old, like beat up balsa lures, and I'm putting together a little collection so I can display it just for that. I also like old reels. There's something about those old reels and the mechanics, like I'm just such a fucking slut for,
Right.
It's the same thing. So it's like, I totally do. And let's be honest, if you're going to drop $400 or $500 on a bait, isn't it nice to know that it's on a shelf and you can appreciate it for the craftsmanship and the artwork that it is, versus throwing it into some scummy body of water and possibly not getting it back?
Right. That's just it.
Yeah.
Like I always say, like I would consider throwing them in water that I would be comfortable swimming in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in my area, it's still
Slim
difficult
pickings.
to find.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's talk about those. What are your go-to baits? Like if it gets tough, the lures that you know that you're going to lean on to get bit.
Right. I am a do or die dirty slut for a spinnerbait, and that will be tied on 100% of the time.
Yep.
From there, I do like to have a hard bait on, a square bill, something like that. I just typically go for a lot of contrast. If I have like a backup, I would do, say, tube drop shot, wacky rig, stick bait. It's always, I'll have a jig tied on. I love those little, you like them too, those Giltex, the little swim bait.
Yep,
with the big Joshy. Typically always have that on. So
it is badass.
We do try to, I anyway still believe in downsizing for baits up here, right?
So for sure.
Try to stick for something a little smaller.
Yep.
Anytime I can get a frog, it's like I can leave the other rods at home. There's nothing else I'm playing with other than a frog.
No, I hear you, man. I definitely hear you. And you're right. There's something to be said about downsizing when it gets tough. It's like, I like to live in the extremes. It's like, I like to think that when it gets tough, if you throw something that's in that outer fringe of what would be conventional, like that larger swim bait or that more downsized micro jig, like you're going to find bites that might be more difficult. When it comes to downsizing too, like I like to fish for all of it. Like I love bass fishing, don't get me wrong. But like you mentioned pike, I love fishing for pike. Obviously with that stuff, that's much larger. But for the smaller species, like if I'm going to go and fish for a perch or crappie, man, there's something about downsizing that smaller stuff that is just going to open the door. Trout fishing, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? I love when I catch like a rainbow or a brown trout on like a small, either a micro spinnerbait or a micro swim jig or something like that. And it's just like, it's exciting. There's something about it,
Right.
Yeah.
We talk about crappie. That's when you got to laugh. I was out last summer and they were chasing big double willow 1/2 ounce spinnerbaits.
No shit.
Big platter size, like outstanding. So
yeah.
those can be aggressive up here. That was just
hell yeah,
an anomaly, I guess, right? But tons of fun.
I just got on a bunch of crappie this last weekend. I had gone out and they were the most aggressive bites I've gotten. And I probably, this one day I went out, I probably caught 30 fish. And they were just, I think 7 or 8 were crappie, and they were just absolutely destroying this tiny little swim bait I was throwing. Little 2-inch swim bait, and they're just choking it. It was ridiculous. Super aggressive. Yeah. I mean, nothing size-wise to write home about. I think the biggest one came in at like 10.5 or maybe 11 inches, something like that. It was just ridiculous. But let's talk about one of the things that I think that makes you and I, we have a lot in common. You're also a big like EDC guy. So I think to make this interesting, I'd like to do a pocket dump right now. If you're game. Yeah, why don't you go? Why don't you go first? We'll get all the flash and everything out of the way.
All right.
I didn't prepare for this either. I should have shut up.
That's a funny. All right.
For those that don't understand, I'm going to explain what a pocket dump is. For those that are in the EDC everyday carry niche and they're into this stuff, a pocket dump is where somebody will go and say, these are the items that I have in my pocket that I love to carry every day. So if there's a need, I'm good to go. Well, you've got all kinds of accessories.
Well, you got to be prepared, right?
You do.
Honor and all that. Let's start. I am a big fan of Olight. So I carry their Olight 10 Pro.
Yep.
And it has a backup flashlight and a laser pointer, which is always fun. It's got a pretty cool, what the hell? Whatever you want to call it, the opening, the action or whatever.
Yeah, the mechanism.
And then right. And then it writes exceptionally well in the rain as well. So that helps, especially for work and outside and everything like that, right? Yep. And then with that, I have an Olight Warrior 3 for flashlight.
Yeah.
I love it. However, I can't, in good faith, recommend this model.
Yep.
It has been recalled because I can attest it will melt through a puff jacket.
Oh,
so
no shit.
You can't get right. I ruined 2 coats that way, so that it wasn't fun. So this model specifically isn't available, but they do have a new X3 Pro, which I'm sure they took care of that as well. And then for my knife, I have this Benchmade Tactical Triage. It's got a 3.5-inch blade and this seatbelt cutter meat hook, as well as a glass breaker, right? So I really like to, have things pull double duty and all that.
For sure.
This knife has never let me down. It's excellent, right? It is pricey, but if you can splurge, definitely splurge, right? In lieu of a backup blade, I know a lot of guys like to carry a little pen knife or whatever.
Secondary.
I have these. I carry these Calibri cigar cutters.
Oh yeah.
Because bad habits and all that.
Yeah.
And I've had these for 20 years, and they're never let me down. They work exceptionally well.
Yeah.
You can send them back in, they'll redo it and send it back to you, right?
And that's key. How many times have you had to do that?
This one only twice.
That's pretty good. In 20 years? That's really good.
And I'm picky too, right? I take advantage of that service probably more than I should. I have a Zippo torch.
Yep.
So just your standard Zippo, but it has the Blue Flame torch insert for your cigars. Let's see. I have a Ridge style wallet. I actually carry 3 wallets, which may sound cumbersome, but I find that it helps, right? You don't always have to carry all of them.
Oh, yeah.
So, there's a wallet in my phone case for everyday stuff. If I have to, carry a little extra, the Ridge wallet, then I'll have a leather bifold as well. I carry, this one's kind of special, an old bow stick from back in the day. Doesn't do much. It's just for fun and looks. It'll help you press the handicap button when you're opening doors at the Walmart or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just carry it. Makes me feel good.
For sure.
Play around with it every once in a while with a spinner or whatever. So yeah, that's about it. I mean, we don't carry firearms here in Canada, unfortunately, but so we don't have to, we don't get to talk about that kind of fun stuff. I suppose these earbuds as well, I use every day, and this is going to be a pretty good test of them. So if I sound good, it's windy as heck out here, and
I can definitely,
so those are,
I can definitely see the trees blowing in the background. Pretty good, but the audio is clear,
So there we go. I mean, these are, they're also for safety earbuds for shooting. So, I think the new models have sound enhancement as well.
Yeah, that's nice.
So there's that. These are Axel something or other. They're always advertising on the gram.
Oh yeah. I've seen those a bunch. I got to find a good set of headphones for when I'm out. Studio headphones are one thing. I've got a bunch of those for all different things. But as far as I'm debating getting back into just having one of those earbuds in so I can take a phone call and not have to have speakerphone on when I'm on the kayak and shit like that. Binya has been all about those. The type of headphones are like a headband. They're like bones transfer or something or whatever. And I'm like, that might be kind of the move because you can still hear everything clearly, which is sort of what I'm looking for. So I don't know. I might play around with that. My pocket dump is not exciting. I'm in the studio right now, so I don't even have my bag with all those accessories in there or with me. Most of it's all in the truck. So I'm going to show you the one item that I do have in my pocket. I always carry my phone. I got an iPhone 15 titanium with primarily this is what I use for social media, everything. Like I would say seriously, like 80% of the time, stuff I'm doing for work, for social media, for all my business back and forth, I run from my phone primarily. And then this I'm really proud of. This wallet is from Alpaca. All right. You ever hear of Alpaca before?
No.
Great little company. They make all types of accessories. This wallet it's got waterproof zippers. It's got a main pouch with a divider inside so you can keep cash and cards right inside. Right. Works great. Thing works awesome. Can't keep a ton of bills in there, but the way things are going these days, where most things are plastic anyway, it works ideally. What's cool about this wallet is it's got pouches. Right here, and this is part of my everyday carry, this is one of my vapes that I keep handy. I can put 2 of these in this front pouch if I want. On the back side, there's 2 pouches. This one's a little bit shorter, and this holds my key safe. And this is a pretty cool little EDC item to have on, where all my keys are all just together in a nice organized bit. But one thing I've got on here, and this, again, you got to be prepared. And everybody's life with EDC is a little bit different. What you need is a little bit different. But I've got a USB key drive right here that has a bunch of oh shit music for when I'm working an event. And if there's a problem with like my hard drive or something, I've got a playlist in here that's about 10 hours worth of music in different genres that I can go and, work from in pretty much any computer. Which is a good thing, plus it's all about backups on backups when you're doing my kind of job. Love this thing. But yeah, the key safe is great. It's awesome because it keeps all the bulk out of it. The top of the wallet has a loop up here, and I put a little carabiner there. So I keep my truck key on here. Everything's all nice so that when you're leaving your house and you're like wallet keys, phone, good to go. 2 items.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
That works.
Yeah, and there's one little thing. I'm glad you mentioned the dual purpose of your EDC. I'm a sucker for anything that's available that's got more than one function. Like if it makes sense. Like I don't carry a fixed blade with me, primarily because I want other items as well. So like the other item that I carry is a Leatherman Wave Plus. And I like it because it's got 2 different blades. It's got a straight blade and a serrated blade. It's got a bunch of tools in there that I can use, but I've also got the little, the bit kit for the bit driver and all that other stuff that I keep in my backpack. So it's a really versatile tool. But this thing I got as a gift from my wife's aunt one Christmas. And I think I told you about this actually in Ohio. This thing has proven so useful. It's got a letter opener right here. I use it all the time. The thing is absolutely great. It has a bottle opener, which comes in handy, and another bottle opener here. It's got a wrench in here. It has a, what the hell is, does it have the description of what it is? Yeah, it has a little tiny pry bar corner here and a tiny, like this will fit a Phillips head screwdriver, this little tiny bit right here. It's got a ruler on it. What is it? A 3-inch ruler. And it comes in so handy. So it's one of those things I always keep on hand. Primarily like if people say like, oh, I keep this on hand to open boxes and stuff. This is perfect for it. I just keep it in this front little pouch. If I'm going to a show or I'm going to an area where I can't bring my Leatherman in, this at least lets me think like, okay, if I need to be able to open something, I can. This never gets searched, ever. Because it's my wallet.
Right.
It's like it never gets searched. It's awesome. And then, there are some other items I'd like to kind of toy around with. I've toyed around with the idea of picking up like you were talking with the O-Light that's got a pen feature on there. That's something to have on all the time. I think that's critical. But EDC is not for everybody. I've found. I talk about that and they're just like, I don't understand what you're talking about. But I'm like, I like to see what people are rolling with.
Right. And like you said, everybody's going to have a different thing, right? And a lot of people and honestly, a fair criticism of mine is going to be like, everything is just a little too big, right?
Sure.
And I would have to agree with it. If I could scale my setup down by about 20% in size, it'd be great.
Yeah. I think it's like backpackers. They're always trying to trim weight or size to reduce, their what they have to carry on them. It's like for EDC, it's the same deal. But like in my backpack, I've got a pouch that's got water purifiers, that's got fire making kits, it's got security, emergency blankets, it's got individually wrapped dude wipes because
shit happens.
I am ready to go for just about any kind of situation. And then in my truck, I roll with a kitchen setup every day. Like I've got a small kitchen setup with a tiny cast iron skillet, a pantry box, because again, like if I'm out doing some shit and I'm like, you know what, I haven't eaten all day. It's time I can put something together. So it's just one of those things.
Everybody's got to eat.
Oh yeah, speaking of eating, so you're a man of good taste.
I try.
Yeah, you do pretty well. And this is what I'm curious. I had asked this question to pretty much every single guest, and it's like when you're out on the water, right? You're out there. Maybe it's an amazing day, and you want to celebrate with an amazing meal, or maybe it's a day that's just absolute shit, and you need to console yourself with a decent meal. What's the local mom and pop that you're going to go to? Whether it be a late breakfast or it be a lunch or a dinner, like where are you going to go?
So I'm going to give you a couple of options.
Perfect.
My area is known for its pizza. And I know everybody's hometown is known for their pizza.
Of course, yeah.
Bullshit. Like, New York ain't got nothing on us. Chicago ain't got shit on us.
Okay.
Windsor Pizza, in my opinion, and not even as a local, if I were to really try to be honest, it's up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a few little special tricks. Won't tell you everything. But one of the main one is shredded pepperoni.
Oh my God.
So you're not getting those little cups of, lava fat dripping all over. Every bite has the perfect amount of pepperoni in it. It's just great, right? So we would, if I had buddies in town, I might pick up, from 4 or 5 different places and have you all try the different styles of Windsor pizza.
Huh. What's the crust
and then
like?
Also, the crust, it's a medium thickness crust. And then like the outer crust is a little chewy, but not overly, right? It's denser.
Yep.
There's a few other tricks. The cheese has to be from a certain place, but that's just local lore. There's also a place called the Barrel House Tavern. It's about 3 blocks up from the Ambassador Bridge, which is the bridge that you would cross coming from Detroit into Windsor. It's been there. The building has been there forever. It's a historic building. And they have something called a Benny Burger. So an Eggs Benedict burger. But I would have you try it with a turkey patty instead.
All right.
And that is the perfect, like if you're in there late breakfast, brunch, hangovers, like that's the place to go to. Everything is fresh. The restaurant doesn't even have a freezer.
Yep.
Like,
that's the best.
It's the place to go.
Dude.
Yeah. You got me thinking now. I might have to head over there.
Dude, let me tell you what this fat son of a bitch just ate and what it inspired in me. So I'm going to back up a little bit and explain to you. I've had this little love affair happening with my own gastronomical creations, as far as like cuisine in the kitchen. I'm a peanut butter slut. Like you put peanut butter on anything and I'm like a dog, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, it's out of this world. But there's a couple of things. I like spicy things. I like things that have been well seasoned. And one of my other favorite like little guilty pleasures is hot pepper jelly, like on a cracker.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's out of this world. Well, There's a local farm near us, and I go, actually, a lot of the time when you see me on Instagram and I'm like coming back after dropping off my daughter, I may have dropped like 40 or 50 bucks on like a little bit of produce and some locally raised pork, and I'll be bringing that home because this farm has it all. They do it all. But they have this giant display of jams and jellies from another New England company, right? And they get deep into it. It's all over the place. So like one time I was up there and I picked up a variety pack. Like I picked out 3 or 4. I think it was like 3 for $10. So I'm like, yeah, we'll get this. Oh, my wife loves fig jam. My kids will love the roasted garlic jelly. And I got a jar of the hot pepper jelly. And I made what the hell was it? I used this in like a simple PB&J. I was like, I got to try this and see how it works. Dude, it's out of this world. So today, my youngest daughter and my wife was actually going to work a double 16 hours today. I'm like, why? Well, she got the call. They didn't need her, and she had the day free. I was like, let's go out. We'll grab lunch. We'll run a couple of errands, get things done, and then we'll be back. I'll do this interview with Nick. They wanted to go to a local burger spot who, like, with very creative name, is called Local Burger. They have a burger that's called the Twisted Sister Burger, and it's a straight up cheeseburger, right, with bacon, peanut butter, jelly, like grape jelly, and sriracha, and it is nice. Amazing. And I'm gonna recreate this using that red pepper jelly and peanut butter, and just go straight up with a little bit of bacon. I may even fry a piece of pastrami and put that on there.
Okay.
It's no surprise. Yeah, it's no surprise why I carry this weight around. You know, you look at my kayak and how ridiculously enormous that boat is, and you're like, oh, I understand. He's a fat shit. It's terrible, dude. It's terrible. So I'd ask you if you've ever traveled for fishing, but we've established that already. But where haven't you traveled that you want to go to? Like, what's on your bucket list?
Oh, so there's a trip that I would like to go on. Yep. And then there's a trip that I would love to plan.
Oh,
so
all right. Explain this.
Whichever one you want me to. So the trip that I would like to go on, it's called Captain Peacock. And actually, you know Jay Siemens, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Like Jay Siemens, one of the top 3 anglers in Kenora, Ontario.
Yeah.
He has a couple of great videos. He's gone down twice now. And it's in Brazil. And you're responsible to get to whichever airport. And from there, they take over. They either bus, boat, or fly you to a ship on, it's not the Amazon, but it's one of the adjacent rivers. And you sleep on this ship for, I think it's 7 or 9 days. Shit. But they tow around 12 bass boats. So every day you go fishing for, peacocks and all the crazy, fish down there. Mm-hmm. You fish all day. They bring you back to the boat, or back to the ship rather. There's a Michelin star menu. There's a masseuse. Like it's done up. So you sleep, and while you're asleep, they move the ship to a new spot. You wake up and you do it all over again.
That's amazing.
And it would just be a real trip of a lifetime to do something like that.
For sure.
And then also, if I were to plan a trip, I would love to go back to Cuba and try to fish the lakes. I know there are bass there.
Yeah.
But all the research I've done, it's either going to be Shangri-La or a complete bust, right? Mm-hmm. And it will be a logistical nightmare. But if I could get, a group of anglers rather, to go down for, 2-3 weeks, you would need it would be a borderline expedition, right? You need a mechanic, you need a nurse or an EMT, a couple Spanish speakers to help you out in country. But they have a few lakes there that do hold bass, and if they're still there, there's a potential that they're big, and so that would be a great one.
That's pretty good. That's pretty badass. So I can see where you're like, I'd like to go on one trip versus I'd like to plan it, because planning a trip like that Cuba trip sounds like there's way more like in particulars, and maybe not necessarily the what's the word that I'm looking for? The like the lodging and everything. Like you would have to select a few things that would be more, you'd have to be more responsible for, which is kind of badass, to be perfectly honest. There was a trip. It's in Louisiana. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of the place. I heard about it on the Cut and Retie podcast with Joe Cermelli. And it's in Louisiana, and they do a lot of different trips. They do, fishing charters like redfish and all that stuff. But they also do like these duck hunting trips. And there's an island that they're nearby, and they have a plane. So they'll bring you out to that island. You'll duck hunt all day, and then you come back, and it's the same deal. Like you stay at their lodge right there on the water, and they've got an amazing, not only amazing lodging, but like an amazing in-house restaurant that'll just blow your mind. Everything is like super family oriented. The guy who owns it, and I'm desperately trying to track him down on Instagram right now. He is a tattoo artist and a musician. So he's got fucking stories like crazy. So I mean, I can only imagine this has got to be out of this world.
Right.
But there's so many. Go ahead.
I know what you're talking about, though. It looks like they've plopped down a courthouse in the middle of the swamp, right? As far as their lodging goes. Like it's a crazy setup that they have.
Oh yeah. I think it's the Cajun Vista Lodge is what it is. The Cajun Vista Lodge. It's just right up my alley.
Right.
Yeah, I've been doing some traveling too. Nothing like you have, man. And I think we need to put something together and like meet out in your area. Do a little send. Maybe we'll camp a little bit, and we'll do a kayak send and just fucking, we'll cook some really good food. Are you down?
That works for me. We can go on the trail for a few days.
Oh hell yeah! I'd be all about it. I would be 100% all about it, man. And I'm jonesing for another trip. I thought I had another one coming up. I recently did a trip down to South Jersey to do some snakehead fishing, and it was out of this world. It was so much fun. I am addicted. I got to do it again. So same thing. If you're ever interested in doing that, we could always go and hook up with Dylan out that way and do some fishing as well. You know what I mean? Man, it is wild. We just this last episode that we had Robert Burpee on the show, and he runs an Instagram called Hops and Hooks, and he kind of specializes in snakehead over the last couple of years. It's been his primary target and focus, and he's a Jersey guy as well, and he's just like, those fish have changed my sort of expectation of like what, like, obviously he said in the winter he still fishes for bass and crappie and stuff, but when those snakehead are feeding, like, it's exhilarating. It is absolutely exhilarating. Unbelievable, dude. What's your favorite? Yeah,
I was gonna say that's one trip that I would love to do. Right, snakes. I keep waiting for them to make their way up here, and they haven't yet. So I don't think Joe has done a good enough job getting them spread around yet.
Yeah, no, I think he's got to do a little bit more work. I don't know that they'll survive the winter. I think that's really what it is. They get, like, they're not even in northern Jersey. Like, that's kind of as high as they come up is that southern Jersey line. So I don't know.
Gotcha.
If, I mean, maybe a few more years of global warming or something. Who knows? Maybe we'll see snakehead elsewhere, but. They're just dynamite. So yeah, if you ever want to do that trip too, let me know, because it'll be well worth it. In fact, you could come out here. We could do a day or two in the Berkshires and then head south to Jersey. And that's a 6-hour ride from where I am. So this way it would be a little bit of a break. You wouldn't have to be driving all that way.
That'd be perfect.
I think you would love I think you would love the Berkshires. I really do.
Excellent.
What is your favorite species of freshwater fish to target?
Largemouth for sure, and that's it's somewhat of an anomaly in my area. Like, guys around here, it's pretty well like there are a lot of walleye guys, right?
Oh, yeah.
We have a really short bass season. It's the 4th Saturday in June to November 30th, maybe.
Oh, really?
So it's a tight window to get it in. Yeah, they don't want they're sensitive about the spawn rate, and again, because it's so cold, you just let them do their thing, right? And then through the ice, like I don't think you could ever even. Yeah. I wouldn't know how to target them like that. I don't think they move too much, but could be that. And it's a multi-species game up here, right? Because of the rules, you kind of have to follow different species around at different times of the year.
Yep.
So, but if I can get, a good day of largemouth fishing, nothing better.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I don't think there's any better feeling than catching a big largemouth, Right. I mean, not even breaking your that's a whole other level. Like, I was recently out on the water and I caught a 7-pounder. That broke my PB just by about like a half pound. I mean, this fish was enormous, and it was just so freaking exhilarating, man. And then to turn that around, this has all happened in April, like all of it. That month was out of this world. I caught a new PB brown trout, 24-inch giant fish. Caught that new largemouth PB, and then caught a snakehead, my first one. That was a 24-inch fish, not a giant snakehead, but I mean, definitely the biggest fight of anything I've had at the end of my line before. April was an amazing month for me. I can't believe it. I'm not even mad about May. May's been, it's been all right.
When you start so strong, you gotta take a breather, halfway through. Yeah. It's not nothing to be ashamed about.
Yeah.
I'm okay. That's a killer every year, man.
Yeah, dude, I'm loving it so far, man. It is good. It is good shit. Let's talk. I haven't used this question in a while, and I'm curious what your take is on it. So let's say that myself and Joe, we're heading up to your area. We're crossing the border. We got all of our paperwork and everything. We're in the white Jigs and Bigs kidnapper van, and Metallica is cranking out the windows, and we're going to pick you up. And we're going to pick a random body of water near you. Conditions, who knows? We have no idea. It's just we're flying by the seat of our pants. You can take your entire tackle box, every single lure that you want, everything else. But we're going to stop by your favorite tackle shop, and we're going to put together a rod and reel combo. What are you going to choose? This is all on the Jigs and Bigs dime. What are you going to choose to fish pretty much any sort of situation? And how are you going to, what kind of line are you going to spool that up with?
All right. So, locally, if we're going to go out, I'm going to tell you, we're going to go to St. Clair. Kind of hard not to. And then the tactical rods, tactical gear, it's a local guy.
Yep.
I was going to say I should pull it up, but my phone's there. I think it's just tactical fishing gear. And he makes specific rods for the area. It's got a drop shot rod that you pick up. I forget what the other one's called, but that's what you're going with for sure.
Really? Okay. Tactical fishing gear. I'm looking at it right now. Okay.
The blue and gray ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, this one's white. This is this guy right here. The blue and gray one. I know what one you're talking about. I follow Tactical Fishing Company. Maybe
maybe.
I think actually you follow both of them. You follow both of them just like I do. That's awesome, man. That's a really, really good way to answer that question, because a rod maker that's from that area, that's basing their product on stuff in that spot, that like the species, the structure, the techniques that most people might, that's a good sort of way to set yourself up. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like
that. And it's dialed, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
We have a couple, unique techniques up here too. Like we do a specific type of hand lining on the river that's unique to the Detroit and St. Clair rivers.
No shit.
So there's fun stuff like that. We would have to try to do something like that if it was season for it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool to try. Have you guys test out.
St. Clair is one of those like mythical bodies of water for a New Englander like us. I mean, it's like such a destination. I would have to make the assumption, because of the size of the body of water and everything, that it might fish like Champlain maybe, but I'm not 100% sure,
So it's like a cold water Okeechobee.
Oh, really?
It's like it's a muddy basin. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty fucking cool. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you're going out and you're looking for any little change in like humps or anything like that.
Yep. You're gonna find
set
fish
up on that.
Yeah.
If your buddy lost an outboard in the lake and you know where it's at, go back the next year because there'll be a smallmouth on it.
No shit.
So, and yeah, any little bit of change, you're going after that. Chase birds and bait balls.
Oh yeah.
See what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Damn, that is freaking awesome. So, Nick, this next question, this is one I usually wrap up with. It's sort of like the cornerstone of everything that Jigs and Bigs is. Jigs and Bigs is all about the story from the anglers. Tell me a story. Tell me two stories, if you will. That first story being like the one that you would lead with if you were at like an event or something and someone was like, oh, Nick, I understand you do a little bit of fishing. Like, what's that story that's going to be your sort of like, wow, kind of like it might be a PB. It might be something really just wild that happened on the water. And then the other story I'm looking for is the one where everything just kind of when it went to shit because the real anglers want to know that.
Right. So my go-to, and it's also the one that truly, got me hooked, was would have been my PB.
Yep.
I was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And it came in at 7 pounds 4 ounce for a northern fish, right?
That's huge.
And yeah, I was actually just on Okeechobee with Captain Cody Davis for a few days.
Yep.
And he had asked, right? And he was tying a knot or something. He goes, that's like a 12-pounder down here.
Yeah, it's like a teeter. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, this thing had a mouth on it like a Florida fish. I could have stuck both my hands in its mouth. It was that big.
That's the coolest
That was
shit.
crazy.
And you were just a kid. You were 12, you said?
Yeah, throwing a little Rapala. I couldn't even tell shad wrap or whatever the hell it was at the time.
No shit.
Yeah, and it wasn't, and that's big too with my area. There is big water, right? So there may be resident fish, but there's also fish cruising through that don't belong there. You kind of never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
It keeps it interesting. And then truck ups, I mean, there's a ton to pick from.
Yeah.
I got concussed in Cuba. I smacked my head against the mirror in the head when I was taking a leak.
Oh.
So that wasn't great.
It's a rude awakening.
Yeah. Florida, I spent an hour and 47 minutes fighting what I think was a Goliath grouper and then pulled the hook. That was heartbreaking.
That is, that's gut-wrenching.
At least I like to say it was a Goliath, but like, who knows? It may have been a freaking turtle and I had no chance to begin with.
For sure, yeah.
What else? I lost a sturgeon one time, which is interesting. On our side of the water, sturgeon, or still you can't fish for sturgeon. Mm-hmm. On the Michigan side, you can.
Really?
But I was fishing the river one time and hooked one. And I thought it was a log for sure, just trying to haul it in, break the line, whatever, while this thing starts moving. And it goes about 100 yards upstream, just pulling line.
Yep.
And then he decides, okay, this isn't working. So now he comes back the other way, going downstream. I'm trying to catch up with him just with spinning gear.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes about 150 yards downstream and then just shoots straight up vertical like a missile, probably 5 feet out of the air.
Holy shit.
Belly flops and then tucks into the rocks there and broke me off. But that was an amazing fish. Like that is a true dinosaur that we're living with. I'd love to see one of those one time.
There are we have sturgeon in the Connecticut River near us, and Massachusetts like super protects them. Like you can't. They advise if you get one to the boat and you're like, oh, I caught a sturgeon. They're just like, please just cut the line. Don't even handle that fish. And I'm like, that's just wild to me. And there are giants that are in there. How big was this one that you saw leap? Like, what would you estimate?
it was at least 4.5 feet long.
No shit. That's a good fish.
If I'm telling fisherman's tales, like I'll stretch it to 5 feet.
To 5, yeah.
It was all of 4.5 feet for sure.
That's wild, man. That is wild. Because it's one thing if you see a pike that's like a 36 or a 40-inch pike or something like that. That's one thing, and those are big fish. But sturgeon are like they're just like you said, a missile. You know.
Yeah.
And it's just, that is fucking dynamite, dude. Absolutely dynamite. And just so unbelievably cool looking, too. I love that, Nick. Dude, I'm so glad we got to have you on. This was absolutely fantastic. Do everybody a favor and let them know about where they can find you on social media, any kind of content you have out there. Promote yourself a little bit. And also, if you have any, like, companies that you're working with, you want to shout them out or anything, this is your opportunity. Go for it.
Perfect. Yeah. You can look me up at South Detroit Fishing, and that's on the Instagram. And then also, like, check out Dark Horse Tackle. I feel like it's not even a plug. This is the best stuff you're going to find. I'm never going to go without it again. I have no reason to, check out, aside from Bondi Baits, which is a local company. Mm-hmm. Like, I have no reason to buy stuff from anybody else other than Dark Horse. Yep. Even at, like, you're in Columbus, right? I spent most of my money at the Dark Horse booth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I spent maybe at 2 other places, but the stuff I want to buy as an angler, it's right there with Dark Horse.
Yep. No, I agree. Dark Horse has a great selection of stuff. I bought a bunch of stuff while I was there, and everything else that I bought there was either like super local to Ohio, like Big Joshies, stuff I wanted to have on hand, or it was the JDM stuff that they took my money hard. But I'll tell you what, it paid off, dude, because like, remember I was talking about how psyched I was about those little finesse chatterbaits, little bladed jigs from Jackal. Well, I had a day on one of those just this past Saturday. Like, I had one that just worked well for the color, and it was just the right action. We had just enough wind, I think, to make that vibration necessary, and all the stars lined up, and I was putting on a clinic. It was awesome. Small fish, but cool fish.
But it would be killer for your multi-species too, right? Like that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's
right there.
That's a huge part of why I get into it. We got to get you in one. Oh, are you entering the bass tournament we're doing in June? On June the 29th?
Nicholas has a little bit of a competitive issue, so it may not be the place for me.
All right. So I'll explain what it is, and you can make the decision if you want to do it. And this is what I love about this is, like you mentioned, like for a northern fish, that 7.5 is like a 12, like a teener down south. Like this, we designed this so that it's competitive for everybody. You get a full 8-hour window to go ahead and fish. It starts Eastern time. It starts at, I believe, 8 a.m. and it goes till 4 p.m. So if you're Dave or Key on the West Coast in California, you're fishing from 5 until 1. So you still have those daytime hours. Actually, I kind of like the West Coast time slot better. I really do. If I'm being totally honest, I think they have an advantage. But there's less anglers and listeners out that way, so it kind of levels the playing field. The only fish that count are in the slot limit between 12 inches and 17. Once it hits 17 and a quarter, it's DQ'd. So it really levels it. Like if you've got a spot for numbers where you're just like, yeah, I can throw 14, 15, 16-inch fish, 17-inch fish all day in this spot, pop on down there, and it's a whole lot of fun.
And you're limited to the 8 hours, so like I won't be driving on meth around for 36 hours straight.
Oh no, yeah, you're not.
Trying to catch fish.
Nothing like that. And it's not like the scavenger hunt where you have an entire month and you can travel wherever you want. It's like that's something I think you should jump in on too, man. Is that multi-species scavenger hunt? You might have a blast.
It could be.
Especially
the trips up north. Like I got a trip planned Northern Ontario coming up, and that's you can really get into just about everything up there.
We have a bunch of suggestions that have come in from some of the competitors. Some of these suggestions, I'm like, that won't work for this reason. But we had one suggestion come in from a listener, Cheryl Bentley, and Cheryl's awesome. She's great. And she suggested, she was like, what if we did like a wild card where you could enter any species on the list, not on the list, whatever it is, and it would be an additional point. And I'm like, Okay. I can kind of get with that. So like, yeah, you hook into like a giant drum. You can submit it for, if it doesn't line up with one of those other categories, or maybe you're just like, oh, I am just killing it with pike this month. Throw a pike in there,
That would work.
Yeah, go for it. Like, just go ahead and throw something in there to get the point. And I'm like, I kind of like that idea. I really kind of do, Fool around a little bit.
And then it'd be cool if there was a way to use that wild card, but as like a feature species of your area. Yeah. Like if I have a species in my area that's, it's super localized or whatever, like we have an Aurora trout up north, and it only lives in three lakes, right?
Yep.
So to be able to put that on there and, have a way to, highlight that kind of uniqueness of your area, that'd be neat.
I love that. That's also the other thing, like you mentioned, like that fish is only in 3 lakes. One of the things that the purpose of this, we had one time a listener, and I think he was in Kentucky. He was just like, yeah, but I'd have to drive 2 hours to find trout. And I'm like,
you have a month to do it.
Yeah. Like I was like, it's a month. Like, so just go catch a trout, man. It's not, like just go for it. Right. That's the beauty of it. We're trying to inspire people to travel and get a little outside their comfort zone of like, I fish the same golf course every single week. It's like, go and fuck around a little bit and see what happens, So, and there are definitely folks that we are inspiring to get out there and catch fish they've never targeted before. And for that, I'll pat myself on the back, and Sean the fisherman, of course, because he kind of got this whole thing going. But like, I'm really trying to push and make this thing happen. So, yeah, we'd love to have you jump in on one of those. I am a little bit competitive too. It took me a couple of years to kind of see this for the fun that it actually is. There's a lot of folks that join in and they're like, I'm gonna fucking kill it, and then they enter a bunch of fish that I have to disqualify because they fucked up on the measurement or something like that, and then they're like,
I'm never going to compete again.
And I've been there. I know how it is, but it's like, if you take the time and go for, man, it's so much fun.
Right.
Maybe we get cute one of these months and we just do a dark horse like cup where pro staffers and maybe even select subscribers and podcast partners, we go and we do our own sort of event. That could be a ton of fun. And we put like a case of beer on the line.
It would be a throwdown.
That would be
I was
awesome.
Thinking we need to up those stakes, so there's got to be something really going on.
Okay.
Whoever comes in last has to get flogged or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can see that.
Perfect.
I can see that. We can come up with some good consequences. Here at Jigs and Bigs, we're good at that kind of thing. Maybe we'll have them play Drinko. Yeah, that could be good. That could be good.
I got the mouth sweats again just thinking about it.
Oh, that's right. You guys know. I forgot about that.
That was mayo or whatever. Ugh.
Oh, God, it was brutal. Adam, you're a hero. You're a hero, Adam. Oh, good Lord. No, Nick, this was absolutely awesome, dude. Do me a favor. You did already send some great images of some of the fish you caught on your last trip. If there's a picture that you want me to feature on the artwork for next week's episode, for the one that you're on, send me that, DM that picture to me, and I'll use it on the artwork.
Sounds good.
I love it, dude. Good talking to you, buddy. Get out and catch some freaking fish, man. Are you getting storms like we're supposed to get?
It's I think we're gonna miss it, but we're catching like the edge of the windy as hell, and the wind has changed directions even since we've sat down here.
Oh yeah, it's a day. It was blowing a few minutes ago. I'm looking out my window, and it's kind of chilled out. We got like an inch of rain already this morning, and I think we're gonna get hit overnight again. We're supposed to get thunderstorms. This cold front came in, but I don't give a shit. I'm going out for Bowfin tomorrow. I need one bad.
Beautiful.
I love it, dude. Hey, you have yourself a good one, man. We'll be in touch, all right?
All right. Love you, man.
Take care, bud. Absolutely. You too. Take care. See ya. This episode of Jigs and Bigs is brought to you by Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar Creamy Coconut Goodness. Yes, that's right, folks. Bobby Roast Beef is back on his bullshit. And I'm loving life. I am loving life. That was a great interview. I'm so glad we finally got to get that one done. Nick and I have been talking a little bit about organizing some kind of a trip. And and he made the suggestion. He was like, he's like, what if we did like the week of like Christmas and New Year's, like Florida, something like that. I'm like, I'm going to Tennessee with the family in Florida. For Christmas. We're going to be the whole week. We're going to be down there in the Smoky Mountains. That's awesome. Smoking up a Smoky Mountain Christmas. It's going to be great. It's just going to be the four of us, I think it'll just be the four of us. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So that's not going to jive. But then Nick followed up. He was like, here are some things you need to do in Tennessee that I think you would love. And one of them is this outing on this loop in like the Smoky Mountain National Forest. Yeah. And it's like there's a ridiculous number of bear sightings there. Like ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm all about it, you know? Let's go ahead. Let's go see some bears, you know? Yeah. I was assuming I don't know if they're going to hibernate that point in the year.
Just come sit on my fucking back deck for a couple days.
That's true. There's a joke there, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not getting canceled.
There you go.
I think this was a fantastic show. I hope you guys are ready for an amazing fucking June, both with the scavenger hunt and with the June slot limit tournament happening on the 29th. Registration is in the notes of this podcast right now. If you go up there, you'll see a link for each of those. Register for both. You know what I mean? If you're doing one, definitely do the other. Trust me, you're going to want to do them both. Scavenger hunt is a whole lot of fun. I was actually trying to get Delirious to jump onto the train of doing the scavenger hunt as well. I was like, dude, I'm telling you, it just changes the way you fish. It just does. It's fun. You know, and like where you can kind of get burned out, you know, going out and targeting one species all the time. It can get kind of tough sometimes. It's great when you break like a PB or you check out some new water, but like it can be kind of a grind. This is something different where you're just like, it's a mixed bag. You never know what you're going to catch. I still want to go back down a little further south in the mid-Atlantic and get some more snakehead, you know? Yep. That might have to happen for June. Shit.
Perfect.
I could use that. You got anything for these fine people there, Joe?
No, man. Good show. Make sure you get on, register for the tourneys. Yeah. If you got anything for us, obviously call the hotline. Let's hear it.
Yes.
Good, bad, or indifferent. We want to hear it.
And you guys, I mean, we're starting the show this week with a call from the hotline. Like, we take that shit seriously. You guys call the hotline, and we're going to use it in the show if it's appropriate to use in the show. Or if you have information that you just want to share with us, we're all about it. So give us a call, leave us a message, and we'll go ahead and make it happen. With all that said, everybody, you know, I hope you guys have yourself a good kickoff to this month of June. It's hopefully going to be fishier weather than this last week we've had to deal with, at least in our area. Yeah. God, I could use it. Yeah. I've got to send a plan up to Shears with Chrissy Fishing. Your boy's going to be fly fishing this week with our past guest on the show, Matt Tempesta. I'm going to go out. He's going to try to squeeze my fat ass into like some double XL waders.
That's going to be hilarious.
And yeah, we're going to go and catch some trouts and we'll see what happens. But this should be a whole lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it, guys. Go out there and catch some fish. Tag us in all your photos that you're posting catching fish. There's a bunch of you guys that do routinely, and we love it. We love to show a little bit of love and share those pics and comment the whole 9 yards. We're going to go ahead and wrap this sucker up, guys. Have yourselves a fantastic week, everybody. We will see you with more Jigs and Bigs in 7 days. Like we always say,
tits and ass, smoke some grass.